What up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe. This is A2D Wednesday nights. Got everything in store for you. Phillies, Sixers, Eagles. Let's go.
I mean, how silly is that, man? We're talking about practice.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Welcome in, everybody. This is A2D Wednesday nights, only on A2D Radio. Every Wednesday, we are brought to you by our doc, Make 'em Yours. That's Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, location in Burlington, Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. As always, Heel Chrome, Greg Mwakovic. I'm Tom Arnone. Everybody out there, welcome in. Philly spring training. We'll get into a little bit of it tonight, but that's next week's show, right? Anybody that's been with us, that's next week's show. We open up Thursday. Opening day's Thursday of next week. Wednesday night, bang, we got it all in store for you. So if we got time, we'll touch on it. Sixers, Thunder, who gives a shit? But we're looking for a top 5 pick. So if, again, time considering, we'll get into it if we have it. Brandon Graham retires. That was the big news from Philadelphia yesterday. So we'll talk about a little bit of the BG legacy and really, who takes his place moving forward. Ties into our poll question. You're confident that Nolan Smith will fill the void left by Brandon Graham. Do you agree or disagree? Let us know. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. That's where we're live. Everywhere you get your podcasts, we're there as well. Hit the like, subscribe, follow. Most importantly, join the conversation tonight. I mean, a couple things. One, I don't necessarily believe there's a void that needs to be filled anymore. But that's not Captain Obvious Tom Arnone. I mean, that's just the fact that BG wasn't a starter anymore. He wasn't taking starter snaps anymore. He became more of a part-time player, a situational pass rusher, or even a situational run stopper because he's always done that at a high level. So the void more comes in terms of the leadership, the work ethic, things like that. And I mean, yes, I think Nolan Smith will fill that void. I already think he has. So again, not Captain Obvious. We just watched it. Brandon Graham went down, the later part of last year. Nolan Smith reps go up and his impact goes up. So right after that, sack numbers are up, right? Pressures are up. Everything's up from Nolan Smith once he essentially took that role over from him. So he already filled it, and he filled it with a Super Bowl ring. So, I mean, these Georgia boys can not only fill the role talent-wise, but they can fill the role leadership-wise. And, I think Nolan Smith is that guy for sure. So there was question marks a year ago this time on Nolan Smith. Well, Nolan Smith got his opportunities, and he flat out ran with it. And that's the same thing with Brandon Graham. That's why some guys need some time, right? Time to develop, time to get better, time to learn how to be a pro. And he absolutely, did that over a year and some change of essentially sitting around per se. But you can see it in the playoffs. Nolan Smith's all over the football field. So, yeah, that void's already been filled, and it will continue to be filled. So I agree. I'm extremely confident.
Yeah, I'm with you, Tommy. I was a fan of the draft pick when it happened. But you're absolutely correct, right? It took a little time, right? He was a little bit more of a project than we anticipated. And I don't mean project in a bad way, right? But he wasn't ready to step in right away, right? He was floated as a top 10 pick possibility, right? Top 15 pick possibility. And that first year, maybe it was because there was other people in front of him, but that first year, he didn't flash that. But what he did is this last year, he flashed every bit of it. And like you said, he jumped on that opportunity on those extra snaps. He was probably our best defender in the playoffs. You know what I mean? And he started off the game, started off the Packers game, in the first playoff game with 2 sacks and just was a monster all over the field.
And 2 pulling guards that he took on head on. I mean, he knocked the one guy out of the game.
Yeah.
It was the first or second play of the game. I think it was the Packers game.
Yeah.
Right. And then in the Washington game, it was the same sort of thing. Pulling guard comes around, a guy that we thought maybe might be too small, right?
He might be a little undersized.
That. Yeah, he's physical enough, so it don't matter.
Yeah,
right?
he definitely made his impact. So I absolutely agree. And I think you can even see his leadership build as well with those reps and with that more time on the field. His leadership was able to grow. So I have no issues passing the proverbial baton on to Nolan Smith and watch him go for the next maybe 15 years.
Yeah, I would agree to the poll as well. I think it's in terms of the on-field, Tommy kind of touched on it, right? Nolan Smith developed so much over this past year, and I think that's going to continue to develop with Vic Fangio's defense, right? And I mean, going into the Super Bowl, he was leading the NFL in the playoffs in sacks. So he's whatever it was that they unlocked this year. I only expect it to grow. There's no reason to believe that momentum is going to go down. And again, a familiarity with a lot of the guys around him always helps too in terms of development. And a lot of the guys that he's played, so many big games and had big moments with are still on the field with them, and I think that's important. The leadership. I don't know if he's going to be the guy to fill that. I don't think he necessarily has to be. There's a lot of guys still on this team that I think even some of these young guys proved to be leaders this year. Hearing Jalen Carter talk, a lot after the Super Bowl and leading into it, I think he's got the right mentality in terms of long-term being a locker room leader and being the face of that defense. I'm just, I obviously we're going to get into BG a little bit more. I'm not incredibly worried about it. He, Tom, you said it. He became a situational guy, obviously this past year, and really even coming back, that was Nolan's job at that point. Nolan had not just stepped in and filled in; he took that job. And I think Brandon Graham, if he had come back this year, he was going to be, the depth guy behind Nolan Smith at this point. So, I have no reason to believe that he's not going to fill that void and fill it very well.
Yeah, I agree we will, because like Tommy said, he already did it. He's already done it. Also, Howie believes in him, because obviously we're clearing shop to pay guys that we have to pay, and he's going to be one of them, I believe, down the road. He balled out in Graham's absence. And clearly they're confident in him, and just another training camp and another season with him, and he'll prove everyone that he's ready to go.
Yeah, like some of the things is, when you talk about chemistry with guys that you play college ball with, I think the things that can add on to that is confidence. You've had a lot of success with those guys, so it's an easier little transition, into the NFL when you have those guys that you're used to being around, and again, you won a lot with. So I think that all plays a part. But then again, I mean, that's a front that had not just like a little bit of success in college. I mean, those guys took it to people in the best conference in college football. So I mean, it's like it just started. It's not like, oh, well, we got lightning in a bottle here.
Yeah.
And we're thankful to have, 3 awesome guys up front 4 now from the University of Georgia. And again, you can't wonder to not think. I'm so tired right now, but you can't not think about those conversations probably happened after Giants games, last year of getting another guy over here. Who would say that didn't happen? In
the handshake line.
Yeah,
what you doing in the offseason? Come on over.
Love to have you over.
It is. I don't want to use the word concerned, right? But in the past 2 seasons, we've lost our three of our 4 pillar leaders on this team, right? And when you think of Kelsey, when you think of Fletch, and now BJ, right? Lane being that last pillar. So it's going to be interesting to see, what crop of other guys start stepping up outside of the guys we already know, right? Like Jalen and Saquon, we know those guys, right? But who else on that defense is going to step up this year and take that leadership role to bring that balance, right? Because especially in the year after you're going to win a Super Bowl, things aren't going to go easy. Things aren't going to go smooth, right? We're gonna be the big bad wolf that's going to be a target on everybody's schedule. So there's going to be things that happen this year that are going to stress this team. And it's going to be interesting to see which one of these guys steps up.
Well,
I think the answer is Zach Bond.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going. I mean, at this point, you're paying him to be a leader, so
True.
that kind of comes along when you start putting ink to paper with the money he's going to get paid. He's a guy who I expect to. I think Darius Slay was head on when he said a guy like Reed, who I think this team, I think these guys really like and follow a little bit. I think you looked at Reed to stand up. And I don't know his personality too well, but I'd be interested to see if Quinyon Mitchell can be a leader back in that secondary as well, or Cooper. Cooper is a guy who they say he's a fun guy, but he doesn't have like this overbearing personality. So I don't know if it's him. I think Quinyon is a guy who I would look at this year to step up into that role, and Jalen Carter, obviously, who I already mentioned. I mean, I think he's already showing a lot of signs that he's maturing. And listen, we know. The reason we got him was some very questionable decision making. And sometimes, his emotion gets the best of him on the sidelines and on the field. But I hear him talk. I see the way that these guys support him. And just the mentality of like, in the Super Bowl, I know I'm going to get double teamed and triple teamed. Bring it on. Because now I know my other guys are going to be able to step in. If I'm the guy who gets all the attention and those guys get to the quarterback and we're getting a ring, like that's just a massive maturity in 2 years I've seen from him.
Yeah, I'm not even concerned in the least. Like, I'm really not. I mean, I get what Greg's saying, and he's not wrong to wonder where it comes from, right? I mean, I just won a Super Bowl with a lot of guys that, again, we keep talking about it. This is why you draft not only great players, but team captains from these schools. This is why you do it the way they did it. And it doesn't mean it's going to work next year. It doesn't mean it's going to work every year, right? I'm not saying that. But the proof's there, right? Like when you go and draft these guys replacements and these guys are coming, in the pros having leadership capabilities already, right? And when you're talking about a young defense, I don't need a 34-year-old per se, just because he's the oldest guy to be a leader. So like the leader around young men, they're a bunch of all young men now, right? So Zach Bond's an obvious, easy answer there. One, he's getting paid to do it, and you've already seen his leadership capabilities. But that entire front from Nolan Smith to Jordan Davis to Jalen Carter. I mean, those guys sat around, two big time guys that were here, and Fletcher Cox and Brandon Graham. That were leaders in two different ways, right? Where Fletch doesn't say a lot, BG don't stop talking. So
he don't stop.
you have levels to it. So it's like, yeah, I mean, we're gonna miss the hell out of Brandon Graham. Heck yeah. I mean, you want to talk about a total Philadelphia story to get into it, right? Of a guy that rightfully so was the wrong pick.
It was.
And you can even say it's a wrong pick now. We're not going to do that.
I still might stand on that hill.
Like Earl Thomas was sensational, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but at the end of the day, this is why you got to give guys time, right? And time was given, and he proved to be worth that pick plus some, right?
For sure.
Plus some.
Sure.
So that's why you give it time. But dude, tremendous career. I don't want to take anything away from his career by saying we're going to be okay in the leadership department. You know what I mean? Because you'll follow that for a year. You're not going to follow a guy that in limited snaps year in, year out, right? It has a short shelf life. You're going to now sort of follow the guys that are dominant, right? And leadership can come by just the way you go about your business. But I mean, listen, BG, sensational career, right? Unbelievable career. But things come to an end too, and it's okay. It's okay. Just be happy that we didn't lose all these guys at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. There was a little bit of a slow burn on losing these leaders, and then it allows these young guys to sort of catch up.
Yeah, because 2 years ago it looked like you might lose all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
we were heading that direction. Yeah.
And it didn't really work out that way. And I think one of the keys to, obviously the on-field's a little bit different, but him staying within the organization, I think, will be helpful as well, because he can still talk to some of these young guys and help to develop them behind the scenes without having to be the guy on the field now.
And I think the biggest leader that we left out of all this is the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Right. Who obviously had his fingerprints all over the success that these guys had last year.
Zin
And guys,
Fangio.
yep. And guys played hard for him. So,
Did you say Zin Fangio?
but I don't want to act like, oh, BG's not going to be missed. It's not like what I'm saying either. Right.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we're going to miss the hell out of the guy. And, at least he went out on top.
There's no better way to go out. And you think about it too, like you hear them talking that it was still a decision at this point, right? He still actually had to make a decision, and I'm glad he retired, right? Because I didn't want him to be hanging on, right? I didn't want him to be that guy that you potentially sit next year because you can only dress 53 guys, right? You know what I mean? Like that he's a non-game day start, right? Or dress or whatever, but. Glad he made that decision because I think these young guys are ready, and I think he's done. I think he is, and it was shocking to actually hear that he was still potentially pondering coming back. At least to me, it was.
Well, I mean, if he doesn't come back in the Super Bowl, he's definitely coming back, right? So having him come back, and I think too, when you think back to like that Los Angeles Rams game, he was balling out. It was probably his best game in the season up to that.
Yeah, he's playing well. Yeah.
And he did, Tom talked about him being situational. And I think that's one thing you can really say about him is, especially over these last, the Super Bowl year was one, but then you talk about these last 3 years, even if his stretches weren't as impactful, he still found ways to find the right situation, whether it was at the end of games or halves when you needed a big play. He was situationally finding ways to get to the quarterback.
Oh, absolutely,
and make big plays. But you could see the tread on the tires was thin over the last, I would say, year to a year and a half. And I just think that this was a good year. I know he was hurt and he missed a good portion at the end, but with what he contributed early on and being able to come back and get that 12 or 13 plays in. And it wasn't just like an admiration. Like you noticed him on the field being around the football. I think it was a perfect swan song for him, and letting him be the guy at the parade to have that last speech and have those 2 trophies sitting in front of him because he was such a big part of those 2. I think it was really important. I think it's a big deal. This is a very, in terms of like just a Philadelphia icon, this is a huge deal.
Yeah, I seen Mean Metal Mike a couple questions ago. Just to shift the topic a bit, he said, "Why do media outlets in the NFL still hate Jalen Hurts?" The reason why is because people hate winning. That's just bottom line. I mean, how many people hate Chase Daniel? How many people hate Josh McCown? People hate winning. We hate LeBron. We hate Tom Brady. We hate Jalen Hurts. We hate Mahomes. Hurts has won so much. As crazy as it is, he's starting to put himself in those conversations. You just hate him. Even before the Super Bowl, he made it to the Super Bowl. He balled out. He wins games. People hate winning. Bottom line, if he didn't win, no one would care. No one would hate him.
And it's low-hanging fruit for sheets. Okay? Becomes low-hanging fruit. Oh, my God, it seems so good. Okay. So was Montana's. Right.
Yeah.
So was
every team.
Brady seems pretty good too, right? Early on, especially pretty loaded up. It wasn't just Tom. The defenses were some of the best in football. So, yeah. I mean, we miss it. Mahomes early on, like, dude, he's stuck. Nobody's taking anything away from these guys. Penn, pretty good cast of characters early on too to be able to get that first one. So, I mean, it's all part of it, man.
It's part of the culture. It's a culture thing too. We're in a culture now where people resent people who are successful, who excel at anything in life. Like it's a build them up to break them down type of a culture, right? Like I heard this talked about quite a bit. Like people were like Jason Kelsey's a huge icon in this city, and now everybody hates Jason Kelsey. It's like a heel turn. People were bitching that he wasn't at Brandon. He's got a 9-month pregnant wife And they were bitching that he wasn't at Brandon Graham's press conference. They were bitching that Brandon Graham didn't specifically call out Doug Peterson. Like, what are we doing? Like, this is the culture where, like, this is what it is, whether it's the media or whether it's, the people who, I call them the casuals because you don't know your head from your ass when it comes to talking sports, that you get mad and make issues over shit like this. This is the culture that we're in, and it sucks kind of like because it takes away from important topics and issues, and it takes away from celebrating people for their success. There was a time where you celebrated greatness, Michael Jordan and everybody else, and now it's like it's gone. It's just not like that anymore.
I mean, Jason,
and it's weird too because like
for a little bit,
you got Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Those are like America's favorites. As soon as Joe Burrow and Josh Allen starts winning,
no, hold on.
They'll hate him.
I'm stuck on something else right now. Jason couldn't have stopped in today or yesterday. He didn't stop in. Was he in town?
I don't even know if he's. I don't know if he's in town, but I know his wife is ready to burst any day for having a baby.
Yeah, she burst and you meet her and you head down. I mean, it's not the first kid. Like, it's not just. I mean, maybe it just pops out onto the floor. I don't know, but I mean, just thinking out loud, like,
it's a lot of pizza deliveries.
I think
obviously,
I found it a little weird, and I found the outrage even more weird.
I find the outrage extremely weird because I'm not outraged at all by it.
I wasn't saying you.
Yeah, no. I just find it strange he wasn't there.
Yeah,
like, I mean, unless like the baby was here yesterday. I mean, or was on its way now. I'd be like, maybe,
halfway out.
Yeah, maybe something I show up for. Is she dilated? You know what I mean? Like, I need some answers. not like the Twitter world needs answers, I'm sure, because they are probably freaking out about it. But definitely a little strange that he wasn't there. But I'm not going to speak to why he wasn't. And who knows that they didn't have a conversation? Who knows? So like, we can speculate all we want. Like, he might have told him, like, hey, I can't make it. I'm not in town. What, you know what I mean?
Listen, I think it's nice when guys show up for that stuff. But like, to me, like, I don't think anything of it if somebody's not there. I just think it's super weird for other people to get mad about that. It's just
detective. With BG at Kelsey's, I need a detective. I need somebody to do some detective work. With BG's at Kelsey's, we're going to find some things out that we might have never even thought of. Right? Maybe those two ain't like this. Who knows?
Well, and then in that case, I don't give a shit what their personal, but they won titles together. So I'm good.
I will say, BG hosts a bowling event like in Mount Laurel. And like every year, and Jason Kelsey's never been there once. Kelsey's never been there once. I've been there a bunch of times. I've been there a bunch of times. And also, Jordan Matthews thinks he's freaking Justin Jefferson. Complete douchebag. Dickhead. Yeah. There was literally probably 15 to 20 people that weren't a part of the Eagles. Just like 15, 20 VIP people that could go to this event. And Jordan Matthews showed up 45 minutes late, walked in, signed what he had to sign in like a private auction room, and walked out. Didn't say hi to nobody. There's like 15 or 20 of us. It's not like there was hundreds. It was a big event, and he showed up 45 minutes late, signed what he had to sign, left. People were calling his name, didn't even acknowledge anybody. Everyone else, super cool. Brandon Graham, I got 100 pictures with him to the point where it's like, I don't even need any more. But yeah, Kelsey was not there, and he never was.
Brandon, put the phone down. Enough. You know what I mean? You're like, Brandon, all right, I got it. I'm a great-looking guy. Everybody wants a picture with me. Enough.
Kiko Alonso there. There were so many people there. Like people that just stopped in. Like Kiko Alonso got there 2 minutes ago, and he's there.
Kelsey's nowhere to be found. You know what?
Sam Nelson, Eagles Twitter is a toxic place. Yes.
I can't say what I really want to say because I just know.
Well, it's been a lot of pizza delivery for Kelsey, Tom. A lot of pizza delivery, a lot of Papa John's. No one's cooking.
I love Jason Kelsey, right? I do. But even me, I'm like, I could do without seeing him every 5 seconds. You know what I mean? And I love the guy, but I could see, and that's not hate greatness at all because I love him as an Eagle. But like, you talk about getting paid a lot of money just to be there, right? I feel like year one, he definitely stole a couple bucks, stole a couple shackles year one. But no, I don't want to do this because we're going to go down. We're going to start saying things we don't mean.
I got one more story for you, Tom.
Oh my God! Can we just go back to
listen,
where we were?
I'm not gonna name names, but he's good friends with one of my friend's dads, and he was in like a Division III like lacrosse game, championship game at the link. So it was at the link, and he was nice enough to show up like privately, like it was like a trailer tailgating pregame. Like no one even knew he was there. And like the dad introduced me to him. I shook his hand. I'm like, oh, what's up, dude? Like, can we get a quick picture? He's like, nah, just straight up, nah.
He
He's
big
like,
timed you?
yeah, he's like only, if you were a kid, maybe. Meanwhile, I was like,
Now
15.
we need a name. Now we need a
Yeah, I
name.
was like 15. Nah. What was Kelsey? I'm saying it was Jason Kelsey.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
My
I
bad.
say I wasn't naming.
I wasn't following along. I wasn't following.
Yeah.
Well, he did it to Johnny Clark at the parade too. I don't know if anybody picked up on that one, but
He had his own car. He was the very first car that drove by. We didn't know.
not even the car. When he got up to the stage,
Okay.
I was like, oh, there's Jason Kelsey. And I think Kelsey thought he wanted an interview, and he's like, no. Like, he was like, no. And he's and John Clark's like, face got white. Like, I wasn't asking you. But it was a little awkward. Let's not do this because
The Kelsey
Johnny Airports. Don't you know who I am? I'm Johnny Airports.
Yeah, but shout out Jordan Matthews.
Let me change
Fuck
the
Jordan
mood.
Matthews. Yeah,
Let me change the mood though. Brandon, my first time meeting Brandon Graham. He is like the nicest guy ever. He signs
Best dude
everything.
ever.
Signs everything for everybody, takes every picture, takes his time to talk to you. And the first time I met him, and you guys know I've met a lot of different people, and I honestly never get like awkward. I never like nervous to meet somebody, and I wasn't the whole time. And I want to take this back to like, you guys know my mom passed away, and I think of like the first Super Bowl parade where I was there with her, and like when I was a kid and I grew up like a Dolphins fan at first because I was a fan of Dan Marino. Like my mom was a hardcore Eagles fan, and like I joined with her, joined in with her. So like something special with the Eagles for me. And when I got in front of him, I became and he smiled at me. I became a child again. And I went up to him and I gave him a hug. And I literally put my head on his shoulder and I went like this and I said, "Thank you so much for sacking Tom Brady in the Super Bowl." And like that could be awkward. It was not at all. He laughed and he actually hugged me tighter. And he basically was like, he's like, "Oh, it was a pretty big moment for me too." But he said like, "No, thank you for being a fan and for the support. It means a lot to me." And like that's the kind of guy that he is, right? So like I just feel like a special like I know a lot of people love Brian Dawkins. I know Tom, that's your guy. He's probably number 2 for me. There's just something about Brandon Graham, and it's not just on the field. It's the way he is with people in the community and experiencing it firsthand. Like I can't ever see another Eagle topping him as my favorite Eagle of all time. He is a world-class human being.
Dude, the fact that he even agreed to take a picture with this bowl cut is unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Look at this bowl cut.
Yeah, well,
I was freshman year of high school. I was wearing too many baseball caps. I didn't care about my hair. I don't know who let me leave the house like that. But this dude is the nicest dude ever. Like I'm telling you, we took 1,000 pictures. Signed everything I brought. I printed that picture out the next year and had him sign it. Like he's the man. I got so many. I don't want to bore you. I don't want to do show and tell over here, but here's Fletcher Cox.
So we met him too. Not the same kind of an experience. He was okay, but like nothing like Brandon Graham. Like my girlfriend Christina has and met a few. She said Brandon Graham is easily her like favorite athlete of anything because he's just like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah, not all these guys are like him.
Fletch didn't even want to do fist bumps with people.
Yeah. Also, it's hard. It's also hard to judge.
He was nice. He wasn't like a dick, but it was just like he wouldn't even give a kid a fist bump. He was like, "Oh, no contact, don't touch." That was a little weird.
It's also hard. It's hard to judge too because like these guys probably get harassed 24/7. So like, did you just meet him on a bad day? Like for all I know, Jordan Matthews was sick as dog shit.
But that was like a paid signing. So like to me, it's like I don't give a shit. You gotta shake my hand or fist bump me. You only fist bump kids. That's kind of weird to me. But I digress. Listen. Getting back to Brandon Graham too, I also want to I do want to give NBC Sports a shout out because I don't know if you guys watched the video package that they put together kind of just telling the story of his entire career. But I thought it was absolutely tremendous. And to go back and see some of the highlights, like when he wore 54, totally forgot about that. But just going back and seeing like just kind of reliving his story, and it really is. It's like, you get drafted and you don't have that college success, and you don't give up on yourself, and you just finally like the pieces fall together and it clicks, and you end up becoming such a pivotal part of an organization in one of the biggest, most hardcore loving sports cities in the world, and to be such a figurehead of bringing a joy to the city that had never experienced it to that point. Like, he really is like the ultimate success story in if not all sports, at the very least Philadelphia sports.
Yeah, I
he
mean,
definitely is.
we used to talk about the type of stuff when Sixers were trying to build up, right? Trying to build, the championship caliber, team, and you're like, you want to win in Philadelphia, right? These guys have felt that, right? These guys have lived that, right? You bring two Super Bowl championships home to the city of Philadelphia in this era, right? The era that obviously everybody's a fan of now, right? We're not going back. You know what I mean? You're not going back in time. We're all live here now. Yeah, these guys are legends and immortalized for doing what they did in this city. Like that's what I know we used to talk, trying to build that for the Sixers, and how legendary they would be if they could just cut the nets down. Well, the Eagles did it twice. Twice. Within a span of years to where everyone's still around for the most part, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you won it once and then 15, 20 years later. No, it's 7 years, and that's what makes losing some of these guys like this, it sucks, right? It sucks to see Father Time always win,
Undefeated.
Yeah, but I look at it as like, look how long we got some of these guys playing deep into their careers.
Yeah, for sure. There,
played deep in his career. He didn't just get one; he got two, right? And you want to talk about waiting it out.
But it had three, close to three.
Yeah, realistically.
I mean, other opportunities, maybe a little earlier on in his career too, because there were some good teams. We did have some, good teams at different times. We didn't go to a Super Bowl, but still talent. The talent was here. But again, it's a slow burn, right? Because immediately, year one, year two, it's like, oh, it's the worst pick ever, right? On what because of what we didn't take. And then to be able to, have one of the biggest moments, if not the biggest moment in Eagles history. Again, a strip sack like that, it came full circle.
Yeah.
For us as fans too, right? Who were hard on the pick at different, right? And all those things that came with it. But it becomes full circle moment for us as well of like, man, this is why you can't really judge stuff right away. Sometimes you can, right? Sometimes you absolutely can. And a year or two in, that's what this looked like, right?
We thought it was.
And it's just a guy who continued to get better, which is awesome. Continued to get better.
Yeah, I mean, Tommy, I was one of those that didn't like the pick, right? And wasn't early on wasn't the biggest BG fan at all, but obviously you get a guy that sticks around for as long as he did and had and you grow to become a fan of that and his tenacity and how could you not like the trash talk? I mean, the guy's an elite level, Hall of Fame level trash talker.
I forgot about how Derek Gunn used to talk shit, like write negative about him or talk negative about him all the time, and every game he would call him out after.
Yeah. And then it became like best friends, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely forgot about that.
Back in 2010 when he started, right? Here was the starters. You had Vic McCoy, Deshaun Macklin, Selleck, Clay Harbor, Peters, Harrimans, Mike McGlynn, Max Gene Gillis, and Winston Justice on the offense. And your defense was Jaquay Parker, Mike Patterson, Antonio Dixon, Trent Cole, Ernie Sims, Stuart Bradley, Moises Foku, Asante Samuel, Dimitri Patterson, Quentin Michael, and Nate Allen.
Wow.
There's your starters.
That was the year of the Miracle in the Meadowlands too. 2010.
They finished 10-6. First they won the NFC that year, and they lost in the wild card to the Packers. A little trip down memory lane, because I was trying to, in my head, go back to see if somehow he was there with McNabb, right, towards McNabb's tail end. So I went back to his rookie year to see who the quarterback.
Missed him by a year, I think.
I think it was very short, and it was not
McNabb's
naturally
last year was 09. So, wow, some of them names thrown out.
Yeah, you're right. 09 was his last year. Yeah, that's crazy. Max Gene Gillis, man, what a he wasn't very good, but he was a monster.
Yeah,
he was the original Georgia dog.
That defense definitely was not the 85 Bears.
No.
Good old Quentin Michael.
Yeah, Nate Allen was a bad pick too, or a bad signing.
Well, he was a rookie. Yeah, it was a pick. Yeah,
a pick.
Number 5 will always love you. Absolutely, KZ. Number 5 will always love you.
Me and Tom always got his back.
We won't always love him.
I'm a McNabb guy. I'm with you.
I'll get his back more now than even before. Like I look at it like completely different now. Like I'll get his back now even more than before.
Did you see the Packers requested to ban the tush push or something?
Yeah.
I saw it today. I don't understand.
There's a couple different offers thrown out there for rule changes. Interesting.
Like, I don't get why are you going to ban something that everyone's allowed to do?
Because they can't stop it.
So that's not gonna pass.
I don't think it'll then they could just do it.
I think they claimed like player safety, right? Like the injury.
There's zero record.
But there's no recorded injuries on it. So like, how can you?
Except for that, who got hurt on defense? Who was
Chris Jones?
Yeah, Chris Jones. He hurt his neck because he
hurt.
Yeah, because he laid down.
Yeah. I mean, guys,
he laid down horizontally.
You know what's crazy though is like we're talking about Earl Thomas or Brandon Graham and looking back at that, right? It still isn't the right pick.
No,
right?
Still not.
Just going through BG's career, I love the guy, right? Like I love him. He's a staple, right? I mean, it's a long career to only have 76 sacks, right?
Yeah.
Really long career for that. Granted, I know he missed, almost like 2 years, but I mean, he only had one double-digit sack season, and that was in 2022. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, for being a good player, like a really good player, I think it just,
and especially
2017 just upset, right?
I just, you guys know I look at things very differently. So I'm the guy who, I don't care if a guy turns out to be Babe Ruth or Shohei Ohtani. If you trade a prospect and you get a guy back that's a rental and you win a championship, that trade was worth it. You got your guaranteed championship out of it. I look at Brandon Graham and the strip sack on Tom Brady and 2 titles later, to me, it's the right pick. It's got more titles than Earl Thomas does.
Yeah, but at the time, we had just lost Dawkins, right? So we needed that replacement. And Earl Thomas, until he went, CTE on the field, was one of the best safeties in the game. And we could have used it.
I get it, but if we're talking long game,
I'm with Chrome.
It's if we're looking at the long game and the totality of everything.
That should have been the poll question. That should have been the poll question.
That would have been a hell of a poll question. Segment 2, new poll question.
You would have still drafted Brandon Graham over Earl Thomas.
What I'm saying, when I'm making the point that it's like you can still make the case, it will never be the right pick. Doesn't mean it didn't play out well for you. You didn't get the return on it. That obviously happened, right? But just like I'm just looking at pure numbers and pure like, holy shit! I didn't even know we only had 1 year of double digits. I would assume the elites had 3 or 4, right? That's where I was like, holy crap! I didn't realize it. I thought he was like close to 100 sacks. I didn't think he was ending his career at 76, having that kind of longevity. So that's
how many years was he an outside linebacker? Like till 2016. I think his first 6 years he was an outside linebacker. They didn't start using him as an edge rusher until 16.
Yeah, but I'm also with you, Chrome. Like I'm with the longevity. Like hindsight's 2020. Like 2 rings came into the building because of it.
There was no.
I can't say it's the wrong pick.
I mean, I hate the pick from Jump Street.
He had the biggest pick. He had the biggest play in organizational history that I don't know is ever going to be topped, because you took the GOAT down and locked the game up for your first title. Like it's the most iconic play that may ever happen in franchise history.
And then also, I remember people were upset about Hurts when people drafted Hurts, or when we drafted Hurts. I know people were upset. Like, why'd we do that? Now he's in Wentz's shadow, and look at it. We went to 2 Super Bowls.
Again,
yeah, well, we were part of that growth.
Just because it wasn't the right pick doesn't mean it can't work. You know what I mean?
In hindsight, that might have been the right pick, though.
No, I'm not saying
because that's
again,
not the long game.
But again, you just signed a quarterback to a $100 million deal.
Yeah,
like it wasn't necessarily the right pick. It has worked out, and we are thankful that it has worked out.
Yeah,
but it still doesn't mean that it's the right pick.
Yeah, it's okay. One guy is BG's not a Hall of Fame player. That's the problem. That's where I'm going.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's not a Hall of Fame player.
Now, is he an all-time great here in the city of Philadelphia? Absolutely.
Now,
sure.
Do you retire 55 if you're the Philadelphia Eagles?
If you're retiring 9, you got to retire 55.
I do
too.
I do retire it. Doesn't mean that one guy isn't a better player, though. That's all I was going with that. Like one guy's career numbers wise will pop out at you, where the other guy we were in the long game, right? We're in the long game, but we got it at the end, right? We're able to capitalize on 2 at the end of his career. But going back to that doesn't necessarily mean we made the right pick. It just means it worked out for us. Thankfully, It worked out, and I'm glad we do have him. I'm glad he was our guy, right? Because what an A+ human being too. That shit matters, right? But Earl Thomas was having 100 tackles from the safety position yearly. So, and 3 to 5 picks a year too. So, it would have been different. Which, again, glad it worked out the way it did, right? Because we aren't guaranteed to go back to those days and say, oh, we're going to get a championship with Earl Thomas, right? And like you said, Chrome, I don't remember when he became more of a D end and an outside linebacker. I don't remember.
Well, I saw talked about this week. So I do think that skews some of his numbers in terms of sack numbers and this and that.
I think when we look at BG, we forget is the numbers on what we think they are, because he didn't start he got better with age. Okay. Right. I forget where he played. I don't care if he played outside linebacker or DN. There was a point in time the guy was on a milk carton early on as a top 15 pick. Right. So regardless of where he was playing, out of position, in position, doesn't matter. It does matter, but you get what I'm saying. Sure. Is, his career got better as he got older and maybe got more comfortable, playing defense end. I don't know. But he got better, and you can look at his stats, and they say it, which is crazy, right? Because he had his overall best year in 2017. 2017 was his best overall year too. His year we went to the Super Bowl, he had 9.5 sacks. So that was his best year up until 2022, right? When we went to the Super Bowl again, and he had 11, which was his only double-digit year. So when you look at Brandon Graham, I think what sticks out to us is like we remember the 11, right? We remember the 11, we remember the 9, and then we sort of just. I'm just frozen. That's cool. I'm back.
You're back.
Frozen. Okay. Yeah. Frozen again. I don't know what the fuck is going on in there. Okay. But I'm just trying
okay, though.
Yeah, I'm glad I'm here. But either way, I think we think it's more elite than it was. And the sack from him too, obviously. Like it will stand out in our brains because if we would have had a Super Bowl in like 2002, that sack's not as big.
Yes.
It's still huge. Hear what I'm saying? It doesn't go away, right? But it's not the allure and everything that comes with the fact that sack clinched our first one in franchise history.
Yeah.
Right. And nobody can say you don't have one anymore and everything that came with it. And it would be that guy. Right. That's the whole thing. They wrap it all up together. It would be that guy. So again, happy with the pick. Just making the point that it still might not be the right one. There's all a pure skill set, etc. But we're happy.
Yeah.
And we don't say that often in Philly. And
According to
thank you,
Daryl
DJ.
According to Daryl Morey.
Thank you. I thank you more than I'll thank a lot of players in this city because you did it the right way too. Right? You could have quit on us numerous times because there was points where we quit on you. So we appreciate you not quitting on us.
Yeah.
That's all. We appreciate you because that's a grinder. That guy didn't come in with number one pick of the draft skill sets. He didn't. He didn't have the longest arms. He didn't have the quickest 40s and the quickest shuttle times and bench pressing a Buick, right? Like he didn't have all those things, right? So he had to do a little underdog-ish, even though he wasn't supposed to be an underdog.
Yeah.
He didn't get drafted to be an underdog, but he had to do it that way, right? And I think we can all agree with that. He doesn't come in with Myles Garrett's skill set, right? Like they just year one, he doesn't come up with these freakish, right, skills that you see from some of these DNs like Von Miller. Just the quickness, right? The different things. He had to do it with more power and speed. But I think what he always did right, and he always did at a high level, regardless of when he was struggling early on in his career or towards the end of his career, is a dude could stop the run. For a DN, he wasn't just a one-dimensional DN. And I'm going to make the case back to his numbers now. He wasn't just a one-dimensional DN. And I think that's what made him better than what his stats will tell us. Right? Stats are going to tell us 76 career sacks. Great. He's a combo DN. I call them combo guards. Right? Because he can do both. A lot of guys, they're one-trick ponies. They'll go get you 14, but if you run the ball their way, they're going to get you 40 going the other way. Right? He was not that kind of player. And, sometimes we got to talk it out on A2D and get to the finish line here. And that's what I feel like I'm doing. So, will he be a Hall of Famer? No, because his numbers aren't going to tell the voters that. But if you watched him his whole career, it's close. It's close.
I mean, he's obviously an Eagles Hall of Famer, right? I mean, he's probably on the Mount Rushmore. I mean, he's one of one of 4 or 5 with 2.
I feel like
right. Him, Lane, Elliott, Lovato.
Oh yeah, kickers don't get Rushmores.
I'm not saying Rushmore, but I'm saying
okay.
They're the only ones with 2.
Yeah. Unless you're like Vinatieri, like walking them off. You know what I mean? Walking them off, the confetti's coming down.
No, I'm not throwing Demi Lovato and Jake Elliott on the Mount Rushmore of the Eagles.
I thought Cubby was getting a Mount Rushmore. I said, well, guy didn't even play. Now we're just saying
he's a Mount Rushmore with Mikey's bowl cut.
But Lane, because I don't even like. What's crazy is like Kelsey would have been so much higher up on my list of like Eagles Rushmores.
If you didn't hear the bucket story,
well, that rubbed me. But watching Juergens come in and be like, "Hey, we didn't miss a beat here. We might have got better here." I don't know if I give it to. I don't know who I'm giving the credit to. Am I giving it to Jeff? I feel like I can give it to Jeff. I feel like 0 credit on the offensive line outside of Lane Johnson is outside of Jeff. Should be given credit for. Like Lane Johnson's the number 4 pick of the draft. He was drafted to be that kind of guy, right? And Stoutland obviously helps him, but everybody else was like 4th round picks, fucking Hall of Famer. You know, from Australia, Hall of Famer, right? I didn't even know what a football was.
Never played football.
Think about it. Like, I don't even know if I can give credit to guys' careers. Obviously, I'm not serious when I say this. Guys deserve credit for their careers, but how great of a coach he is. That, like, is Jason Kelce as good as we think he is overall, or did Stoutland and techniques and the guy willing to learn, make him better, right? I think the speech, dude, the guy's an all-pro, sensational, right? But I'm saying the speech to us makes him like even better than he is, right? I think that's another one where it's just, it puts him up levels. It takes you up levels on how good you were, because he went from at the damn good center to that's the greatest center of all time. Like, after the speech, like, is that the greatest center of all time? And I'm not taking anything away from him, because the guy's sensational. He is a Hall of Famer. He should be. And if he's not, then I don't know who's voting, right? Yeah. But I think, like, it's just funny because is it him, or is it these guys, or is it Jack? Right? Think about all the late picks. I mean, Landon Dickerson, 1st round pick without the injuries, right? Concerns. So, you talk about him, and you
lucked out though in the draft, right? Like,
yeah. Like obviously Jurgen is drafted for that, but you wonder, you could draft 8, you could draft 4, you could draft everybody. We were talking about, you could draft every one of your offensive linemen in the 4th round, and your offensive line would still be a top 10 in football with Jeff Stoutland here, which is just crazy to say. So, I mean, I'm not saying that Kelce isn't great. I'm just saying, like, you need sometimes the coach can be that elite too, which I think that proof is in that pudding. Right? You like that pudding?
Yeah.
Buckets, you like that pudding, bucket?
Dip it on your hoagie?
Rome, you would be the guy. Come out of fucking nowhere. Rome just came out of right field. Hey, Rome. I mean, you always come out of nowhere. You come in the worst times. In the history of Rome Robinson as a part of A2D, you consistently come in the wrong times. I told you guys I was tired tonight. I'm just saying shit. All right, just deal with it. Some of these Wednesdays you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to deal with it. I'm not telling you that he deserves no credit, but if we're comparing Jason Kelce to Michael Jordan, I think we all need to freaking cheese grate our dicks off. All right, because what are we talking about? What are we talking about? You know what I mean? I'm not talking. It's the greatest of all time, and then we're going to compare him to a center. Right? Like, not an NBA center.
Like, right? Borderline the greatest professional athlete of all time across the board.
I went back to 275 in baseball one year just for fun. He did not do 275, but yeah, Rome said he just got here.
Welcome, Rome.
Way to make an impact.
I'm just talking, but Lane. I mean, they did restructure Lane Johnson.
Yeah, they re-upped him
or extended him.
Yeah.
Through
now, did that open up any extra money?
Yeah, it did.
Did it? Well, it gave him more money, that's for sure. It gave him more guaranteed.
Well, that's what you do. You give them more guaranteed money, and then it help. They help you by relieving your cap restraints. So
yeah.
Trying to see.
It definitely did something.
Yeah, because you wouldn't do it anyway, right? You wouldn't just do it to do it. It's just a Saquon thing, right? Like, Lane's not going anywhere.
Yeah, you're just not like this handing out free money, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I owe you. Here's an IOU for you.
Yeah, it doesn't say how much, but it does say it's going to give them extra breathing room under the cap. So it is going to save them some money.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of saw the same thing, Chrome. Like, normally they're quick to point out the exact numbers when they do that, right? Like, you knew as soon as Saquon signed, you knew his cap number dropped in half, right? You know what I mean? Like, it went from 13 to 6.5. So it was weird because I didn't hear talk of any savings. Obviously, you assume Howie's not doing that without the savings, right? There's no reason to do it if there is no savings. But it was just one of those scenarios where, like, it was weird that it didn't, wasn't reported right away, or at least that I saw.
Are you guys intrigued that they let Becton go?
What do you mean intrigued?
No, intrigue's not the right word. I'm surprised because for a 2-year deal, I would have, because he's still young. I'm a little bit surprised with the number that he got, and only for 2 years that they didn't bring him back. And listen, I have faith in Howie, and obviously when you talk about, we're talking Jeff Stoutland and everything he does with an offensive line, I'm sure they'll be fine. But I was a little bit surprised with how much he flourished here that they let him walk. I thought for sure. And
You're hitting the nail on the head right now, because there's two iffy decisions I have this offseason. And that's, I don't know if I just go out of my way to trade CJ Gardner-Johnson. I don't care what other people on other shows have to say on A2D. You can have your opinion, and it's wrong. Okay, it's wrong. And Greg can be wrong too. I understand the money of it. I get it. I listen. I get it. Okay, I get every bit of it. I understand it. But there's guys in this league. The most important thing out of my secondary is ball hawking ability. There's a reason we cut the freaking nets down. And it's not because it's just CJ. It's because our elite ability to start taking the football away, because that is contagious. And for the 2 years that guy was here, he had 12 takeaways. And one was in a shortened year because he got hurt. Nobody's crowning him. Nobody's saying nobody's not tradable. I'm just making a case that finding a guy to replace him is easy. But finding a guy to replace the ball hawk skills does not grow on trees. It just does not. So that's my only little gripe with it. We've moved on. You weren't on last Wednesday, Chrome, but we moved on from it, and we're all good with it. But if I have one gripe with it, it's the ball hawk that I got to find a way to replace. And please, nobody not give me a Sidney Brown season or any Sidney Jones or whatever. Frank, guy, I don't need to hear the season. Like, he's a 23-year-old kid, was drafted to at some point be the starter. He's going to give an opportunity in camp to win that job. Fine. He will not take the ball away 6 times through the air next year. I can promise everybody that. Doesn't mean he won't be as good. Doesn't mean CJ's not replaceable. My only little gripe is I love turnovers.
And
you're spot on about that.
I know you talked about it last week, so I'm not going to deep dive down.
No, before you go, hold on. Save your thought, because back then you nailed it, right? 2 years, 20 million. What are we? Hello? We good? Yeah. Now it tells you what the league, right, Chrome, to that too, where my head went is like, does the league believe that this is just a Stoutland job and it's who he's around? Or does the league really believe he's that first pick of the draft guy? And he's
I would have thought he would have got more money coming out of it. So seeing what the number ended up being. But just to circle back with CJ, I know you talked about it last week. We don't need to deep dive into it. I look at it this simply. Listen, I look at it this simply. With the Twitter rant and everything else that we saw, like, I saw nothing wrong with what Slay said. He didn't run him down. He didn't say anything negative about him. And he went insane on Twitter.
Years.
You get your perception of you being the leader, and you got traded twice by the organization, tells you a lot about how the organization looked at him in terms of a leader. And I think I know we said we don't know, we're not behind closed doors, but that to me is enough. What do they call it in court when you don't have the actual, like,
plausible deniability?
No,
Huh?
Some kind of
if the glove don't fit, you can't acquit.
OJ Simpson.
I just feel like I heard words I don't even know what they mean. I feel disrespected.
I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I said.
You're going to come on these airways and disrespect us all by these big ass words. Right? You spend a little time in the courtroom. You grow up.
Read my Miranda rights first.
I feel like I just got cuffed up. I got hit in the back of the head. Reasonable doubt. Yes.
Larson comes through at reasonable doubt, I think, is what we're thinking of.
Yes, that's what we're thinking of.
Yeah. I just think that there's enough there to, I would put 2 and 2 together and say that there's a concern with a locker room effect there.
Oh, absolutely. We
Oh,
yeah.
and at the end of the day, thanks for the title, and I appreciate the 2 years we had him. But
Tough
if
locker room effect when you go to 2 Super Bowls 2 times
well,
a year.
And the
particularly
last
when you
loss
have,
he had, he got kicked out.
Yeah, I'm
particularly
just
when
saying,
you're
that's what I'm saying. Grub, you're not wrong. None of what you're saying is wrong. We talked to this all out last week, and we all
Yeah.
were there. We actually went a little deeper, saying, well, his guaranteed money was done. So he probably went in and asked for more money, and that's where this started to transpire here. That's what we
if you guys
believe.
remember, I brought that up earlier this season where I said that he could be somebody gone because he didn't have guaranteed money even though he had 2 years left.
Yeah.
So again, another reason why it didn't super shock me because it's very clear what the goal is here, and you guys talked about it. The goal is they have enough talent that they can fill some holes here, and they need to pay guys, and they're going to build through the draft, and I'm here for it.
Yeah, I'm not
I
paying
think
guys to be
Howie's
camp
had a really,
counselors. You know what I
really
mean?
brilliant offseason. Becton's the only one, honestly, to me, where I'm like, but I give him the benefit of the doubt. It's a deep draft, so
Yeah, I got 1.5 because I mean, as much as the guy might be whatever he is in the locker room, Noah hit it on the head last week in the opening. He really did. He doesn't always do that, but this isn't like I'm not paying a guy to be a camp counselor. You know what I mean? I'm paying guys to be rough. I'm paying guys to be physical. I get it. He's not a choir boy, right? He's probably not
a camp
easy.
counselor, Tommy.
Yeah, like you know what I mean? He's probably not an easy guy. I get it. Some of these guys that are built a little different and they don't mind wetting their beak all the time and they'll hit everything that walks around. They're a little cocoa for Cocoa Puffs. You know what I mean? They're a little low. These ain't normal human beings. Absolutely not. Am I inviting that guy over for dinner? No. But I've said it for years. Mixed in with your leaders, you need a few psychos. I need a few guys who just they just see red and they don't give a shit. Right? All that being said, I can move on from it. But all I'm saying is the 2 times I went to the Super Bowl in the last 3 years, there's one part that's been there both. And my defense was atrocious the previous year. He wasn't a part of it. We get him back, we're better. The only game he gets booted from, our defense looked like it was the same defense from the year before. So I don't know. I mean, sometimes you got to deal with the extra because of what you're getting in return. Sometimes the return is worth the investment. And in this specific case, I got enough guys around, strong personality guys, especially on my offense, that CJ Gardner-Johnson is not ruining my locker room. The last time I checked, were we hoisting that thing at the end of the year, or were we an NFC title game? Like, if we lost in a title game, or we don't win a Super Bowl and you move on, okay, I can make a case. Maybe he got a little bit of disruption. Maybe he's this. But when I'm walking down Broad, and I get it, what Crum said, the tweets, all that, yeah, I mean, they all probably play a part. But to me, I can just, if I'm Howie and Jeffrey, you like winning? This guy plays winning football. Again.
And this gets brought up all the time. John,
circumstantial evidence was the word I was looking for. By the way.
And John just said this, like Gardner-Johnson gave up 9 touchdowns in pass coverage this season, including playoffs. But how many games did we dominate where it wasn't even like a close like that's why I hate analytics. Like pull up how many of those touchdowns were less than 2 score games. Because I can think of one.
How many turnovers, Johnny, in the 2 years he was here, John? That's all I need you to Google. You don't got to Google anything else. You don't have to go any further. We're not talking about the most elite cover safety in the history of the game. We're not talking about the greatest tackler to ever suit him up. We're talking about elite ball hawking abilities. That's it. That's it. And now you got to go. Now you got to go find that in other places, which he took a few away from Q, so maybe he's Q. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I'm not going to tell how he's wrong and he's a moron and this, that, and the third, right? Like he has a track record, but he also has a track record, like every general manager in the history of the game, of having, like Chrome said, there's one move he doesn't like, right? Move and a half. Right? You're going to have some things that might not age well all the time, but we'll give you the benefit of the doubt because I think overall he's had a pretty good all season given the circumstances, given what he's put in. Because our poll last week was, or Sunday, right, Greg? Whatever day it was essentially that this team's still a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, still loaded. Yeah,
they're loaded. We are absolutely loaded
So
right
you
now.
still are. Yeah.
Yeah, and I said this last week when and that's after we lost the guy I really like a lot in this defense. This defense is loaded. So I don't know where people think there's just like this drop off either, right? We're gonna have some holes. How much do we like Ringo? How much do we like?
It's just a bunch of unknown, right? That's all it is right now.
Yeah, how much do we like Sidney Brown, and how much do we?
I mean,
like
it was
Ringo?
an unknown this year too. Quinyon,
Yep.
It sure was.
Yep.
It was
It sure
all an
was.
unknown.
Yep.
So
Chrome's point though, it's like I would have liked to run the offensive line back though. I just rushed for 2,000 yards. I mean,
the one thing that I keep going back to with this is maybe they gave him an option to go back to tackle sooner than we might have. Right? Obviously, with Lane being there.
No, he's playing guard.
Did he sign as a guard?
Yeah, he signed as a guard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think.
Or maybe he inflated his number that he wanted too much, and he just felt like he couldn't come back. He couldn't go back. I don't know. I'm with you guys. For that money, you would have thought you would have thought that
moved on from him. That's what I think happened there.
Could have.
Because there's no like that number can't be that inflated. Like we saw what he signed for. I can't imagine. Like honestly, I thought he was going to get a lot more than he did.
Yep. So
I can't imagine the number was so inflated that the organization was like, "See you later." I just think they just moved on from him. Maybe they just didn't I don't want to say they didn't value him because obviously they did, but they just didn't see him as an irreplaceable piece. Maybe. And a lot of that could be the whole conversation circling back to the confidence that they have in Jeff Stoutland and what their potential ways of filling that could be.
And I think the other side of that too is like the guy that they brought in for CJ, Kenyon Green, right? You have Tyler Steen coming up on his potential extension, right? So you need to figure out at some point what you have in him, right? And it might be a cheaper scenario to play it out with Tyler and see what you can get out of him versus paying, Mackay what he potentially wanted in that. Who knows, right? I mean, we're going to find out. Obviously, the move's done.
I'm a big Becton guy. The only thing I can say about Tyler Steen is, it's the guy who's played over 40 games in the SEC. I mean, it's a guy who's played a lot of big time football.
Sure.
Right. And he's a 4-year starter, right? You don't always see that with guys, especially at that position. So he's very versatile. Do I like the size that this offensive line could deliver to teams? Absolutely. He's not small at 325 or whatever he is, but he's also not 350, 360 like Becton. Yeah. I thought we could really manhandle teams was an advantage. But, I also get it because you're trying to, again, this is where I get where, okay, I could have let Becton go and you could have wrapped my head around it, right? If you just restructure CJ's deal then. I can if the money in my eyes, I know it's going other places, I get it. But if I could see where that money goes, then I'm like, okay, all right, right? Because I just didn't want to lose stuff that we weren't supposed to lose. That's my point. I was good with Milton Williams. I was good with Josh Sweat. Right? We really wanted Zach Bond back, and Becton were the two guys we wanted back. Well, I could have did with you could have sold me on Zach Bond and CJ. Right, and Becton, Milton Williams, and Josh Sweat have to walk, right? Because you have those replacements who have played meaningful snaps, right? Sidney Brown to me, I don't know how many meaningful snaps he's really actually played. So now that becomes a concern of mine. Kelly Ringo's actually played legitimate first corner snaps here, right? Good, bad, or indifferent, right, boys? He's actually played those snaps. So, I'll leave it to what you guys think, but that's where I think if you look at our defense, what you think our biggest glaring maybe weakness, and maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe, this guy, because he hits, he has no problem tackling either, right? I know that for a fact. But
he'll mix it up.
He'll mix it up, and Ringo mixes it up too. So in terms of that, like I'm good with these two guys, right? But what position do you think is the bigger hole? Do you think that cornerback position, because Adoree Jackson's there too? So you have some depth there that you didn't think you may have had, and you have a camp battle on your hands now between a veteran and a young guy. So you have that. You don't have it at the safety position right now. You don't have the battle, right? It's Sidney Brown's job right now. If camp opened today, there ain't no shot he's losing that job because the Lewis sign is not beating him out.
No,
Maybe he
not a
does.
Lewis Scene guy.
Yeah, maybe he does. I have no idea.
Georgia
right?
boy. Georgia
Yeah,
boy.
but not like Malachi Starks, Georgia boy.
First round pick.
Yeah, Malachi Starks is better than him, I think.
I think he was a first round pick. He was
think he-
high draft pick.
Was he?
Yeah.
Who's returning punts next year? Did Gene?
They signed a wide receiver. They signed a they did sign a kick returner. A special teams guy.
Yeah, no, he's right. I mean, and that's what Chrome said too. There's obviously he's a problem in the building, and I think he probably asked for more money, and he didn't get the response he was expecting to get. And then how he's like, we're gonna have to trade you. He sort of made it easy on the organization, right? That's how I look at it. Is he probably was a problem in the building, but they could deal with it because they win, right? You can deal with it, but then guy comes in, puts his hand out, and you're like, well, I don't value you with the kind of money you're expecting, right? I think that's where it happened from. Like they didn't value him at whatever he thought he wanted because they got guys they got to pay, right? Like, and this is where I was accepting of it, right? Like I got to pay Jalen Carter, I got to pay Jordan Davis, I'm gonna have to pay Nolan Smith, right? I got guys on my defense that to me mean more, right, long term than CJ Gardner-Johnson. So that's where like I was able to come to the terms per se with it and understand.
He's Draymond Green to me though. Like you don't want to pay Draymond all that money, but he's like a problem that's a solution. Like CJ's a problem that's a solution. That's what makes no sense. Like, is it really a problem? Is winning a problem? Like you said, did we not just hoist that trophy? How much of a problem is it? Like, a problem for who? Taylor Swift because he's walking around with F. Taylor shirts. Like, a problem for who? He's a problem for the NFL. That's what he's a problem for. He's a problem for every opponent we played.
Yeah, and I don't care about him trashing Slay. Slay's gone. You know what I mean? Like,
no, it wasn't about trashing Slay per se.
It's everything.
In a weird roundabout way, it was almost like diminishing Reed. It was like knocking Reed. Because Slay simply said, who do you think would step up and be the leader in the secondary? And he said, I think Reed is the ideal guy. He's an organizational guy. Blah, blah, blah. And he was basically like, oh, fuck that. And then he went off on his rant. So it's not the Slay part of it. It's the an undermining of the idea that Reed, who's one of your younger cornerstones at this point in your secondary, and you're basically saying, yeah, no, that guy can't be me.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
And like that to me, like if it's one thing he's talking shit on Slay, I think they can overlook that. But I think the organization values Reed and what he brings.
Yeah,
and he is one of you. He is a piece of your future.
And that's the other side, right? He's the one that's going to be here.
Said that. I had no idea. So
that was what Slay said. When you would listen to what Slay, he didn't say anything negative. They simply had the question, who do you think can be the leader of the secondary now that you're gone? He actually spoke very highly of the organization and the players, and that was who he said. And then that's when CJ went off on his rant because he picked Reed over him.
I got no problem with that though. You guys got the CTE. Who cares? Like he wants to be the big bad wolf. Let him be the big bad wolf. Like I want that mentality. Like no, even if it's your own teammate, you ain't outworking me. You ain't better than me. That's the type of stuff that gets you better. Kobe Bryant used to call his teammates soft as Charmin. Used to curse him out.
He ain't Kobe Bryant. He don't have that kind of swag though. Like I don't care what Kobe could talk that shit because he was Kobe Bryant. He ain't Kobe Bryant. He don't have that track record. He don't have that kind of.
It's a different sport. You don't have the ball in his hand for 48 minutes.
It doesn't matter. In his own, he was barely a top 10 safety this year. I like him a lot. Like I don't want to start arguing against them, but like he doesn't have some swag or some sway that he can go in a locker room and talk about what anybody he wants. Like he's not that guy. He don't have the history of that in his career.
Well, for the Eagles, the history has been to two Super Bowls. And the last game we lost, he got ejected from. Well, that's the history he's had here.
That's great. But at the end of the day,
Also now on his
this
5th team in 5
organization needs a
seasons.
core. He's 20. Somebody asked in there is 27. If 27 is old, what is in the NFL 27? You're starting to hit the downside of your career. So yeah, absolutely, that's old compared to any other job. It's not the same as a regular job. So yeah, he's not a long-term piece. Reed Blankenship is a long-term piece. Quinyon Mitchell is a long-term piece. Cooper
What about
DeJean is a
Barkley?
long-term piece. C.J. Gardner-Johnson is not going to come in here and start
What about
throwing his
Saquon?
weight around. He doesn't have a foot to stand on.
What about Saquon Barkley?
Not a long-term piece.
No.
Not a long-term piece at all. You don't see him coming in and talking shit. You know what he does? He uplifts the quarterback, uplifts the wide receivers, uplifts the linemen. When they ask him about his stuff, he always mentions what the line does. He's not a me guy.
Yeah, I just don't think if you have a team full of me guys, then it's a problem. But I think you need a me guy on every team. I feel like every championship team has had a me guy.
I don't even think he's a me. Why is he
guy.
a me guy though? Like, why is
I
he
just think he's a fucking lunatic, and it's okay.
I didn't see a
It's
single
totally
me
okay.
guy.
I think the reason he's left every team is financially. Every single team, and every team, literally, look at since New Orleans, since he's left, every team has then regretted letting him go. Every single one, including
We did it to the point where we brought it back.
Yeah, I'm not panicking. I'm
And then
just
they trade
throwing
him
that
either.
out there.
Yeah,
I'm
me
just
either.
throwing that out there. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, it's just funny. Like, listen, if they replace it, I'm good with it.
Well,
But
they
if I
clearly
go-
tried with this Justin Reed news that came out. That apparently they almost got him and they just didn't find a number. So I don't know if that kind of blew up in their face. Maybe they thought they were going to definitely get Justin Reed to be fine, but that's interesting. It definitely means that they're looking to give
Justin
up.
Simmons is still out there too, and
Right.
He's
There's
under
definitely options. There's definitely options.
Yeah, I'm not. He's 31 years old too, so maybe he gets
Martian, absolutely. Detroit regrets letting him go. And so does New Orleans. The year that he left, them.
I regret letting him go right now. We didn't play
Every
the game.
team that has let him go.
Look, Detroit didn't
Has
regress
regretted.
letting him go. He didn't even play for them last year.
No, the year before.
He was hurt the whole year last year for Detroit.
Okay, he came back and then they went on the run. That's when they came on their run. Is when he came back. That's not an oh my god. That's a fact. That's
There's
a fact.
something to be said about
That's
like
a fact.
the CJ Gardner
That is a fact.
There's
That is
something
a
to
fact.
be said about it. It's a weird effect. It's not.
They had an up and
effect,
they didn't have a
right?
dominant season like they had this year. It was up and down, and it was
because
up
they
when
missed
he was playing.
16
Doesn't
starters
wet
on
your
their
palate
on their
like you would
defense
expect.
alone.
Yeah, and when he came back, they went on their run.
You're right. They missed
He's a
16
common
guys, but
denominator
CJ
and a
was
ton
the
of
one
winning.
guy in the lineup that would have made a whole total difference in that defense. You're 100% right. That's the
He
most
has 3
asinine,
years.
ridiculous
He has
point I've
4
ever heard.
years straight of teams
Jesus
sucking
Christ.
after he leaves. Like,
now
that
we're
means
just
something.
now we're just on our knees for him right now, and it's pathetic.
It's not. That's a fact. That's real life facts. 4 years
Greg,
in a
did
row.
you hit a green screen or am I just exhausted?
Huh?
Is he like green?
My color did somehow
Your
change. I don't
coloring
know.
looked a little dim there.
You all right?
Oh,
there
now
he
you
is.
got a little
I'm good.
All right. No, I just getting scared. Sorry, keep going.
They had a little kidney issue.
We're talking Eagles, and you got green. I was like, oh shit!
He's mad.
Face painted.
Look, I'm in between both of you right now. I just
No,
wasn't
like
up to
you had to get rid of him because of money. It's nothing
Yep.
other to do with that. It's money, and that's
It's
it.
money.
That's where the conversation ends. It's not
Yeah.
because of him, because they knew what he was as a teammate. Clearly, he was good enough for him to invite back in their locker room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what this narrative just started. It has nothing to do with that. It's money, and that's it. That's why he left Detroit. That's why he left New Orleans.
Let's bring him back.
Yeah, so it's that doesn't make any sense. It's because of money, and it's fine, but they're gonna have to replace him.
Yep. Which is fine. Maybe. But this
Martian.
defense is still loaded. And I like the other signing they did too. I like getting another defense end in here. Another guy who can get after the quarterback.
And another guy on a no-brainer deal.
Yeah, no brainer.
24 years old on a 1-year deal.
Prove it deal. Love the prove it deals. I mean, this guy gets 6 sacks against a team that is playing down 100 every game. So
Yeah.
I feel like you can walk into 10 here. How are you?
And
we like playing with a lead, big fella. How do you like playing with a lead one time?
Yeah, go get him now. Right, absolutely. And again, we talk about the familiarity. He comes in with a bunch of his dudes that he's already won with.
I mean, that's the thing. Just keep circling these guys in. I mean, next thing.
Well, we just hired their quarterbacks coach, or like second, as some sort of an offensive assistant. So
Kirby,
we might as well bring Kirby up. He can replace Vic when Vic retires and the sanctions start hitting Georgia. Kirby can come on up, just like Pete Carroll. Just like Pete Carroll, get out of USC before the sanctions hit.
You think Nick's job?
Swoop's turning into a bulldog. we should have a bulldog mascot running around pretty soon.
Wouldn't take long. Especially if we end up drafting Malachi Starks.
It's the best team in the NFC right now. Pre-draft right now.
Right. That's the other reason. Why are we panicking? Like, there's so many just studs on our team.
Yeah.
That, I think sometimes we're just spoiled. We're like, this past year was always going to be the best version of this team. That was 1,000% fact with the guys that they had on those cheap contracts. You can't replicate that. That's hard to do. So the next version of your team is like your superstars just have to be superstars. You might not have depth and borderline Pro Bowl talent on your second level starters, but you still have studs all over the field on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I don't even think it's panic. I think it's more so just like fan favoritism. Like, he was a fan favorite. I think what Kerm said earlier is so right. Like, I think I was shocked by the Becton because the number being 20 million, you thought it was going to be way more than that. 2 years, 10 a year, you couldn't do that. Like, I would have done it. I would have ran the offensive line back. That is not so much panic, but I mean, like, you rushed for 2,000 yards. You could have rushed for freaking 2,500 if Barkley was really going for it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I would have liked to see Becton back, but besides that, I don't even think it's panic. I just think he's a fan favorite. I think like Quinyon, as much of a stud as he is, he's like camera shy. Like, he'll talk to like the Mike Evans. I saw the clip, like mic'd up, like he'll talk shit, but he doesn't like vocalize it in the media. It was just nice. Like, have a fan favorite of just like a dude that just doesn't care, just talks shit. Like, everyone else is pretty much like a pro's pro. Like Cooper DeJean's a pro's pro. Zach Bond, right? Like, you don't have like that crazy psycho. Like, it was just, you love them. You're like, there's the crash out.
You do, though.
Who is it?
And he might be your best player.
Yeah, Jalen Carter is not a stable human being.
You're not stable at all. So, like, you do. And we said, not every one of these guys are guys you can invite over to the house. Like, hey, you want to watch Cast tonight? Hey, you know what I mean? Like CJ Carter Johnson's not going to get invited over to watch my kids.
Could you drive me to the airport?
Or like Zach Bourne. Like, I'll leave Zach Bourne with my whole family. You know what I mean? Zach can probably clean the house when he's done too. Like, super nice guy, but he's gonna play physical, but super nice guy, right? Jordan Davis, like, look, I just snuggle in with him. You know what I mean? Let me get up in there. Let me snuggle in. You know, it's like what do they call the big sectionals? What do they call it? The big love sacks?
Love sacks.
No sponsor. I feel like Jordan.
Like Jordan Davis, my big sack.
You know what I mean? I just lay on him. I can just like sleep on top of his body. Like California King, like California King up in here. That being said, super nice guy. I feel like, right? So when you look through it,
he got a voice of an angel.
Oh, absolutely, Nolan Smith, like really educated cat, good dude, will light your lamp, but good guy, right? I think Kelly Ringo definitely is screw loose-ish, right? I mean, you get to see that a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, you're right. There isn't, Reed's like a nice guy. Seems like a nice guy, but he'll take the ball away. But this defense is, that being said, you got enough screw looses. And I said, if you play defense, you probably got a screw loose to begin with.
Yeah.
If you like playing defense. But, Ajamu played really well. Ajomu, I'm sorry, he played well.
Yep.
So you sort of replace that Milton Williams. They're going to draft guys too. So it's not, and then I know it's called edges. I get it. The edges are really good, and you got a lot of low risk, high reward. Even Bryce Huff's a low risk at this point. High reward. Maybe he gets seven.
And there's got to be some optimism around him, right? Just being here another year.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
some things out, right?
Figure it out. You got a whole off season to work. Like, you know the system now, right? You could
Caleb
give the benefit of the doubt that like it was just overwhelming for the guy.
He's
right?
the
Or
Taiwan Walker of the Eagles. He's the Taiwan Walker of the Eagles. He's going to be dog shit again.
He could be. He absolutely. I'm just trying to have optimism on a guy you know is going to be here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Jalen Hunt will have a better year than Josh Sweat next year.
I don't disagree with that.
You know
at all.
me,
That's
I'm
a
big on
take.
Jalen Hunt. I think he came on very strong in the playoffs too.
I think Josh Sweat's the most overrated pass rusher in Eagles history.
Two great celebrations though. Hunt's got the
over Mike Mamula.
Well, he can't do that anymore.
Why not?
They fined him.
You're kidding.
No, they fined him like
But
12
see,
grand or
hold on.
something.
That's a rant we got to go down. Tyreek Hill's getting fined for not wearing socks. You can't dunk the ball in the crossbar, and you can't go like this. Like,
The no fun league, the NFL, no fun league.
No fun league. They're losers. All right, they're penny. They love every dollar. Right? Nobody can have fun on their watch. I hate it. We can do.
I mean, that makes no sense. Like
Yeah.
his last name's Hunt. Like, did they not get the hint?
No,
I thought you were talking about the Sweat. I thought
No, Sweat was a great celebration, but Hunt purposely does like the bow and arrow. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely not allowed anymore. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
So
You got
hunting's
fined
not
in the
allowed.
Super
Like, I
Bowl.
mean, I've always been like, I don't want to.
Well, they don't want the gun. That's all it is. They don't want a gun motion.
It's a crossbow.
I know, but that they're equating it to a weapon and a gun.
He's like coming out there, like, oh my god.
But other guys do.
Now we're doing this. Like,
Other guys do.
I mean, Jeremiah Trotter used to come out and wave an axe.
That was back when you could have fun.
I'm surrounded by armed forces at the school I'm at on a daily basis, right? There's like armed forces around here. So if the NFL fucking thinks that the bow and arrow or the crossbow or whatever the hell he's shooting is not gonna have kids go do that kind of shit, knock it off. Then you guys pay a couple of hours then, right? Take the fine money and then go protect the schools, because that's how you can end all that, right? You get a couple guys walking around with pieces, right? People think otherwise. And I'll leave that conversation right there, because I know what the NFL is trying to do, all right? To get GTA out of here, right? Every game you ever grew up playing, knock it off. Knock it off. You're gonna be the voice of reason. You let people kick people in the face, and you let them come back. And we watch people get slammed around in elevators. And now you're the voice of reason. You're everything good in the world. NFL's gonna protect the world. The fuck up, Roger. You clown. Shut your mouth.
Also, what is Tyreek Hill wearing socks? Like, what does Tyreek Hill wearing socks or not have to do anything with anything?
Or what about AJ's
It's the
cleats
uniform
or
policy.
Jalen's cleats? It's the same.
It's the uniform policy.
But socks is not a uniform.
Yeah, it's part of the uniform.
Do they check your underwear?
They might. You better have that. You better have that thong on,
Socks
Mikey
is not
Buckets.
your uniform. Like, in what world has socks ever been your uniform?
I mean, it's
What
part of your
sport?
uniform for baseball, right? Socks are part of the uniform.
Not unless you're rolling the pants up.
Socks and stirrups. Every time you got uniforms in baseball and football and soccer, you got sock, didn't you?
Didn't mean you wore them. I didn't get fined for not wearing them.
Thanks, Mike. You didn't get fined playing Little League baseball. Thanks, Mike.
Sorry, the board didn't come down on the 8-year-old buckets. 8-year-old Mikey Buckets. Here's
I'll tell you what they do have now. We got sliding mitts and fucking and chains and the Evo shields and the arm sleeves and you name it, dude. It doesn't end. You got the shit on the knobs of bats now. I never had that shit growing up. Or like little thumb guards when you're hitting. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
Anyone
I just bought some bats for my nephews. My mom was blown away of how much, because obviously we haven't played in so long, how much the bats were.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm
like, Mom, it's a different world we live in.
We had to make a T-ball run on Saturday. And you know what? Crumb of the week. I'm sorry I didn't get to this, but I'm just going to add it in here at the end of my rants. Is Monroe Township Little League. Hey, I'm just going to throw it out there because I don't care. Because I'm in a position of power. You understand? So I can say whatever I want when we're running a Mickey Mouse Little League. All right, we're running a Mickey Mouse Little League. With all due respect to Mickey. But a Mickey Mouse Little League going on over here where you email somebody on a Saturday and you tell them practice starts on a Monday. Are we okay?
No.
And you're going to tell me, well, these are board members. It might take 24, 48 hours to get back to you. It's an email. You act like they're coming over and mowing my lawn. Like I'm asking municipal to come over and pick up the trash. Well, give us 24 to 48 hours. We know we missed it, but we'll come over. I'm asking for a schedule. 24 to 48 hours. What are these guys, doctors? They on call, they're doing brain surgery. What the hell are we talking about? 24 to 40. Imagine if I said that to my parents that I work with, right? I'm like, oh, can we get the schedule, Tom? Hold on. 24 to 48 hours, Tom will get back to you. Who the hell's Tom think he is? You know what I mean? That's what 24 to 48 hours. What's this guy doing God's work? This is so there's my rant on that. They told us it was April, and I got to run the decks. Here we go. Tommy dryer sheet. Here he goes. I'm in freaking heaven. So I got to get a helmet. None of them fit.
Yeah. All
right. It's freaking ridiculous. Not one of them fits. This is a joke. All too tight. Guy's got a monster head. I don't know what's going on. And then we get the glove. Nice Mizuno. Little green guy. He likes the green. Not a fan of it. He's already flashy. Okay. We're going to calm that down. And then what else do we have to get? We had to get cleats. Okay. And then we had to get the bat. And this is where Greg triggered me.
Yeah.
I got this Ethan. It's $29. I mean, we're not trying to show off a D-ball.
Yeah.
I'm feeling good about it. He's like, it's too heavy. It's 25 inch. I said, geez, this is unbelievable. I'm trying to find a 24 inch. I find one. And it's a goddamn hype fire. All right. And I felt like the biggest sheet in the country. $78.
For a D-ball bat.
Punch yourself square. You know what? Right? Because this guy better be hitting piss rods. You understand?
Nukes.
I better be seeing balls leave. Like he's at over at T-ball. Like, you know what I mean? I need results now. Were you spending that kind of money? Like, I need results. And now he's like, it's too heavy. He's telling me it's too heavy. I said, guys, we're not doing this. All right? I don't know if they make 23 inches. We're going to have to grow into the guy a little bit. You know what I mean? They took the plastic off. You know, what are we doing? So, yeah, that's where he triggered me. But, $398 because the guy wants to tell me on a Saturday. You know what I mean? I got all these. I could have went to Cherry Hill, got 60%, 20% off. I got to go rush around because we want to send emails out on a Saturday. And then when you respond to the email asking for the schedule, well, that's going to take 24 to 48. What are we talking about? Like, I almost want to go. I'm going to erupt the whole practice. I'm going to tell you, I might take over the whole practice. The time you're not on the staff. Yes, I am. You know what I mean?
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, I might have to pull that. You know what I mean? It might get like you might have the paparazzi getting videos of me like losing
just
my
tell
mind.
them to get back to you 24, 48 hours. Just take over the practice. Be like, you're not here. Be like, get back to me in 24, 48 hours.
In 24 to 48 hours. I'm going to expect an email back. But right now, I'm running practice. I want no parts of running practice, by the way. But yeah, it's, great times. Great times. Heard some stories about them, and now we're in it. We're in it. We're in the we won't be in this township long.
You're in the danger zone.
I'm not danger zone at all because we won't be in the township long. That's all. We're not going to stick around here. We're gonna have to develop, and we're gonna have to then we're gonna be choosing because at that point in Little Lake, we're gonna be signing NIL deals. So you're gonna go wherever you want. You know what I mean? Oh, you live down there, don't matter. He's a good player. Bring it in. This is what we're turning into. We'll give you 5 height fires for free. Come on over here. Sorry. Said it. Oh, Greg's talking bats.
I'm out, boys.
See you, Gromer.
See you, brother.
It kind of felt good to get back into it. And all I'm doing is buying used bats off of Facebook Marketplace.
That's crumb. That's crumb brulage. You know what I mean?
What, used bats?
Yeah, I just think you're setting a bad precedent.
Oh, my brother's cheap. Brother didn't want to buy a $300 bat. What can I say?
Oh, your brother's buying it.
No, I bought it for the nephew.
What does your brother have a goddamn say in what kind of bat you're buying? So if
he doesn't. But he didn't want to buy a new one, so he put me on the search because he knows I'm a Facebook Marketplace junkie.
So he bought it.
Yeah, I got 4 tires for $125 total. Threw them
money
on the car.
Money. Marketplace is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, fall off in a week. Right. You're saying what you're saying. I can't comprehend it. It's a simple question. Did your brother pay for it?
No, I paid for it.
Did he pay you back for it? Is that the deal? What is the deal here? Or is
No,
it Uncle Greg is the
Uncle
buyer?
Greg's just treating.
Okay, here you go. You tried to deflect this from the beginning and put it on your brother that he didn't want.
Well, no, he didn't want it. He didn't want it.
But he ain't playing. And this is for him. Like you had an opportunity here to say, you know what, you could have jumped up in Uncle rankings.
I'm the fun uncle. We all know that.
And you're fine.
We all know that.
Help you. I'm trying to
No,
help.
no, we're good. I got some training to do this weekend. They're coming into town next week.
Oh
I got some training to do.
They're gonna be like your 15U team then.
Yeah, they're gonna be terrible.
We boot balls all over the place.
Got a 5-year-old just starting T-ball and the 12-year-old just getting involved. Yeah, 12-year-old just getting involved. It'll be fun.
Yeah, and I won't say that. I mean, to me, I'm like, you can get away with playing town ball until you're 13.
Exactly. Absolutely.
In most towns.
100%.
Most towns. I always say I would dish that money in the one-on-one stuff.
Yeah.
When I'm younger, but we're starting at 4. You know what I mean? When it really I'm surprised we're starting T-ball at 4.
That's kind of absurd, to be honest.
Yeah, I can't even hold the bat. I mean, this is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah, everything is heavy at 4, bro.
$79 bat that we're gonna I don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah,
like we can swing it. Like, you know what I mean? The kid can swing a little bit when he wants to, right? But I don't like when I'm gonna get around and now we're gonna be disappointed. I can already see it. I'm about to go out on the field. You know what I mean, Luke? I can feel it. Here comes Tom. I gotta help him hold the fucking bat. And then I'm hitting bombs. You know what I mean? I'm backside. You know what I mean? I'm getting hips going in it. I freaking break his hips. I'm snapping my hips so hard to try to just hit one out with the high fire. God damn it. What am I doing?
You don't want the marketplace.
A nightmare. I don't even want him
to. Should have made your brother get it.
I want to be the guy at T-ball that's in the outfield. Like, I want to set the tone in T-ball on how you're supposed to operate because I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it. And what I mean handle it is there's going to be a lot of sheets around, all right? It is going to be sheeted up.
Oh, okay? It's dryer sheet central.
Woo! It's a big load. Because this is all a lot of first-timers and a lot of guys just drooling to say 1,000 things to their kids, right? At 4 or 5. Imagine having 1,000 things to say at 4 or 5. I'm going to set the tone to be the outfield guy. Like, look at this guy. He's as calm as can be because he's freaking 4. I don't care if he looks good or bad. I can give 2 shits what he looks like at 4. I'm not going to be like, hey, Cat, put the elbow up a little bit. I'm going to need you here. I'm going to need you to get to here. I'm going to need you to feel it. No, calm down.
That's the Brazier here tonight. The Brazier here, Cass.
Like, I know
Scouts are here.
When the time to get you better comes, and Uncle Sweeps likes to say when he get his fingers on you, but when the time you get your paws on them, that's when you get better. Like I just did the one of buckets this guys today. You know what I mean? Because this is what I do. You know what I mean? I help. Told him I was going to say this too, and now he's not even paying attention. So, you know what I mean? No, I'll just clean you up quick. You know what I mean? I got one of those guys. We clean you up fast.
He was on a 10-day with me. He's been bouncing
on a 10-day.
He was on a 10-day, and he's clean because it's not hard. Like I tell you guys all the time, like the process to hit's pretty easy. Going to hit is hard, but what you do to get to the point to hit is we're not doing calculus. So, imagine, I'm gonna do some video for you guys. I'm gonna send you some videos of first T-ball game and practice. I'm gonna send you behind footage of the zombies. That's what I'm gonna start calling them, the zombies. They're just rolling. Everybody's on the fence. One guy's on the top. Like, how'd you get up there? Maybe doing video from the top one? Unbelievable. These people are out of their minds. I can't wait.
You got to get the angle. The angle.
Yeah, well.
You got to get the drone.
So the Eagles are awesome. We're good there.
Yeah.
We'll talk Phillies next week. Sixers, lose by 33 tonight, which is a good thing. They've already won.
Did they get blown out?
Yeah, they've already won too many games for my liking.
And Quentin Grimes said 28, I think.
I will say, as shitty as the
He's
team
been
is,
hooping.
They're playing with heart.
Oh,
It's nice to see a little bit. That Rockets game.
He's not wrong.
I was one of the only.
I'm not saying he's
jackasses-
wrong. I'm not saying he is wrong. Stop it, Buckets.
I was one of the only jackasses watching that Rockets game. It was electric.
They were not. I'm not. All right. I'll be fully. They pulled me back in. It was like the start of the third quarter. They're up by 24. I'm like, they're plus 2.5. They're up by 24 in the third quarter. I'm like, fuck it, dude. Fuck it.
The Rockets money line at halftime.
I'm like, yeah.
This free throw was
home.
crazy.
Justin Edwards, take me home. And then we literally that end of that game was unbelievable. They lost it on purpose.
Did you see
totally
that, Tom?
on purpose.
Yeah.
The Rockets missed the free throw on purpose, got the rebound, and made it to send it to overtime.
Mm-hmm.
Like a perfect miss. Like it was, but that game was
Unreal.
electric. They really
That
was. They
awesome.
were.
Yeah.
Jalen Green
tried
shoving
until the end.
Hood.
Then they
Shafino.
tried to lose, but yeah, it was awesome.
But I mean, it's just fun because these guys are playing for their wives. Half of them are going to be bagging groceries next year, but they're playing for their NBA wives. So it's like it's fun to have 12 guys playing with a heart.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now you're hearing stuff like, would you trade if you keep the pick? Would you trade the pick with Paul George to get him off the contract? I'm like, absolutely not.
Shut your
Are you
mouth.
out of your mind? Are you out of your mind?
Shut your mouth.
What are you
I'll
talking about? You can reset your franchise with just that one player right
put him
there.
in the Delaware. I'll put him in the Delaware River. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
he doesn't have to play.
We know some guys. I mean, we don't have to. We don't have to go trading away an asset. I mean, goodness gracious, we know a couple guys from the city. Joey Marlino's back. He's doing Instagram videos.
Yeah.
Somebody DM, hey Joe, who you know? I'm probably gonna get a hit on me now for saying this. This is unbelievable. Well, it's good seeing you guys.
Daryl Morey's in the building.
Oh, he's
Did you see what
using
Marcus
AI.
Morris
It's fine.
said about
I
Daryl
wonder- I
Morey?
wonder how-
No, Daryl Morey is the biggest
They were big,
jackass
Joe.
executive in all of sports. Okay.
Yeah.
And there was a point in time he wasn't. But the AI stuff, I'm out on you now. And I got no problem with you using stuff for the right things. And there's always a place for stuff, right? But there's the human element when you're talking about being an executive that I think is extremely important. If you're a general manager, if whatever you are in those types of roles, right? Like it's important to have the human aspect to it. And, he sounds like a robot. You know what I mean? He's starting to sound like a robot even more and more. And we sort of knew this because he's the guy who thought he could run a roster out of at a YMCA gym where his tallest guy could be 6'5" and he could win that way. Right. We witnessed some of his antics on what ChatGPT's saying to him. Right. So we've seen it. We've seen it, and now we're living it. But yeah, he's a jackass.
It's such an absurd concept. And when I first read it, I thought they were talking about like Allen Iverson.
I thought when I saw that too, I didn't read any more. I'm like, oh,
that is such
a
stupid like concept that I didn't even read it that way.
Yeah.
That's how dumb that is and fucked up that is.
And Marcus said, you got to know the type of cats that can handle Philly and can handle the market. And there's the human aspect of any deal you make. I mean, look at him. He looks like a guy that's using like ChatGPT trade deadline machine. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
I know for a
trade
fact.
machine. Like it looks like he's just putting it in because look at all the moves he made last year. Like we were good. We were like, we don't got to make any moves. And he went and was like, he was blundering it. I'm like, dude, we're playing. It's a really good team. Like, right? Like we loved our depth last year, like early before he made all the moves. Remember? Before he made all the deadline moves, like we liked our team, and he went out and shook it all up. I'm like, what is this guy okay? Like chemistry matters, right?
Well, I know he used AI for Jaden Springer because someone I know worked in the building and said that Jaden Springer was strictly off of an AI website.
That is unbelievable.
Swear to God, the first pick he did.
I completely liked it. He even drafted.
Grinding away. I could literally, right? Like a lot of humans are, right? We're grinding away. I could have taken his job yesterday, like for half the money. Like, are we okay? Like, I could do a way better job. My interviews are going to be better. We're not gonna talk about AI unless it's Alan and what we did the night before at the casino together when we were talking shop, right? I mean, that's what we're going to talk about. Come on, this is not hard. Like, I think these guys make it so hard. Evaluating talent is freaking simple. It's simple. It's so easy. Come have a talk. I'm going to find out right away. Give me 5 years in the league. Give me 5 years in the league, right? And I can work my way. I'll give you 5 years in the league. getting to talk to players a little bit and getting a feel, right? And I'm going to know who like when I do draft process interviews, I'm going to get and now have a feel on if that guy really gets it or if he's bullshitting me, right? You know what I mean, guys? Like we all could. I'm not saying me myself. I really start to get that vibe and to know, and I wouldn't need anybody. Like you could fire the rest of the staff. You fire the rest of the staff. Send me to the combine. I'm not going to miss much. Not going to miss much. And free agency, it's the easiest shit in the world. It's so easy. Guys feel like they got to give max spots up because they're there. You know what I mean? They feel this like necessity that they use it because it's there. It's there. I gotta use it. Right?
Not only use it because it's there, but do anything to make sure that you have the chance to get there. Like that's also what he did. He got rid of so much, only took 1-year contracts at the deadline last year to make sure that you could sign. Yeah.
Imagine setting your everything you did last year.
It makes me so happy to finally hear you say that.
Not me. To finally hear me say it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were a Paul George fanatic. Roll the tapes.
Fanatic.
Yeah.
Fanatic.
No. Not true.
You were like, well, this team's not that bad when Paul George.
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. You were trying to pull strands, right? But you were definitely all in on Paul George.
Okay, well, a couple of things. You can't say both those things together because that's not real, right? Like I can't be pulling at strings, right? Pulling at hope strings here, and then on the other hand, being like I was all in. Like, no, I'm pulling at hope, right? And I'm trying to get myself in. That's all we were doing, right? All summer, none of us were all in. Not one of us was like, well, all right, we're on, right? But we were trying, right? We were all trying. Now, was there a point through the first like 15 games of the year or however many when I was like, well, he's played well. Like there was a point in time where he was playing well, and I was like, oh, he's starting to show a little bit. There was, Greg, you're not wrong. There was, but for Buckets to talk about fanatics and
I didn't throw the F word out there
and any of this kind of crap, or to say I was all in. Nobody can say I was all in when I was pulling the same strings you guys were. I mean, come on, don't put me on a goddamn Paul George island. That's not fair.
Caleb Martin got me when they did that. I'm like, this might be legit. That was when I was in.
We did say the roster was good.
Yeah,
the roster was good. All things, right? Take injuries out, anything else. It's a really good roster. No question. Nobody's going to question that. But when you add in the health, people are going to question a lot.
Yeah.
Because this ain't 2K with the injuries off. You know what I mean? You can't just turn the injury button off. Does AI allow you that? Does AI not have a goddamn feel? Because like I would fire the artificial intelligence right now. Like they told you Paul George was going to play how many games? How many games did they promise you from Paul George? And before you need the extension, did you go in there? Did you dabble? Did you type that one in? Did you type in how many games you think he's going to play?
After an Olympics run?
God damn it. Greg, don't ever say it again. Don't ever say I was all in on a perennial loser. Please.
Oh, you were a PG fanatic.
Oh my God. You two were unbelievable. I was trying to find a way for this team. Because
we were 2-12, and you're like, well, I mean, if Paul George was playing, we'd be all right.
I still could be right on that. Like I could have been right if they all play, we'd be good. If we were in City this year. We were in City.
Hey, I said at one point that this was the best team Embiid's played with, and even though it's over, like I still stand with that. Like in terms of roster,
I
agree with you on paper. On paper,
I have a better chance of getting a hand
5
job from Mickey Mouse in Disney than those two guys being healthy at the same time. And there's a high percentage, right? You know things are going down there.
Oh, so, yeah.
A high percentage of something
Disney's wild
could happen, right? And the chance of those two playing together for a long period of time. Oh my God. Oh my, what are we talking about? Like who signs up for this shit? Like, are we okay? Like, why do we got to be the jerk off phrase? I'm watching Oklahoma City run circles around the whole freaking league, and they were allowed to lose on purpose. But for some reason, we're not allowed to do any of it, and we can't have nice things. And I want to hear today the conversation with you and another employee. All right, because he's an asshole. He don't have a clue. All right, when it comes to this shit, tell me that Markelle Fultz was not the projected number 1 pick of that draft. Anybody that tells you that wasn't true is a moron and wasn't watching, because he was. He was. And anybody out there that will tell you that you were sold on Duke guys back then, buy yourself a clue, please. Because both things back then were not the case.
Yeah, but this actually reminds me of the Brandon Graham thing, because it wasn't about was it the right pick. It was about the fit. It is. You had at the time you had an all-star point guard in Ben Simmons. So why draft another guard? Like, the fit did not make sense. And no matter how good Fultz was or not playing point guard, you didn't need a point guard. Like, let's say he came in and was great.
Necessarily a point guard either. He could play a little off the ball. You need.
I'll say something. He was never that good. He was never that good.
Yeah, he was never that good.
And he was made.
I liked Luke for a reason.
It was bullshit. He was never that good ever. There was never a moment where he was that good. His team sucked and didn't even go to the tournament. You could say the same about Ben Simmons, but I mean, obviously, it's an eye test factor. He was never a great shooter. He was a good point guard in a really bad conference on a team that didn't go anywhere. And like, where there was nothing that he did. This is what I always say. There was nothing that he did at a tremendous level at any moment of his NBA career, college career, high school career, none. There wasn't one thing that he could do at an extremely high level. Anything.
And he played for a team that didn't go to the tournament. Like, Washington stunk. What was the record then?
Right. So that's why he's out of the league. Like, at least Ben Simmons, if he buys into his contract, he could continue to get contracts for the next 5 to 7 years just on his defense alone. Markelle Fultz, he couldn't hang his hat on anything. Jason Tatum is 6'9" and can shoot, can dribble, can score off the dribble.
Well,
I mean,
Boston doesn't make the trade if they don't know if they know we're taking Tatum.
Right.
That's the best part about it. That's the best part about it that we're talking about today.
We got to remember too. Back then
for him.
You didn't have to trade up for him.
We were controlled by the NBA back then.
You could have just waited. He was going to be there the whole. Like, if they drafted him third, this conversation is totally different. So different. Not only did you get it wrong to evaluate that you'd have to trade up to get him, but also the guy stinks.
But we got to remember too, though, that
he was never that good.
The NBA was running our team, right? So like the moves made back then weren't made necessarily in the Sixers' best interest. It was in the NBA's best interest.
Yeah,
I talked about this today too, Greg. This is where they messed up with the whole process thing, was because they never drafted on building a team. They just drafted the best consensus player that was available at that pick.
Early on they did.
It was forever. They did Noel, Okafor, Embiid, the three centers back to back to back. Markelle Fultz, Tom, I hate to break it to you, was not the consensus number 1 overall pick. Because guess what? If we didn't trade up to get him, he wasn't going number 1.
Yeah,
that conversation makes zero sense. If we didn't have the number 1 pick, he doesn't go number 1. So he's not the consensus number 1.
But Jason Tatum wasn't the consensus number 1 then either.
No, there just wasn't. There was not. There was not a consensus.
There wasn't.
That's fine.
But my point of this is numbers wise. Take out all the rest, right? Both were freshmen, right? It's not like Fultz was 24. Was a senior. Okay, they were both freshmen. His numbers were off the charts. That's all. As a scorer, his numbers were off the charts compared to Tatum's. That's not debatable. It's okay. Tatum played in bigger games. Fair, right? And all that stuff. But take it all out and just look at numbers, right? The guy scored 23 a game, right? At the college level. That's a ton of points, right? So when you're shooting 53% from the field, it's pretty good. Or no, he's got 47% from the field, all right? We averaged 6 assists, 6 rebounds. So all those other numbers compiled to be like, okay, this guy's a better scorer right now. So to say it wasn't a fit, I disagree with. And that's where my argument's coming. It's a fit if he could play. If he could play, because he's 6'4". You have a 6'11" point guard. So there's absolutely a fit. You need a slasher. You need a guy who was able to get to the bucket too and shoot a little bit, right? They projected him to be a better 3-point shooter, obviously, than he was. Makes sense? I agree with Luke on that, right? But to say
He
the
was
guy
never a great shooter. I don't know
I'm not
why
s-
they would even think that. That never made any sense to me.
but the numbers in college don't say he wasn't a good
Right, but
three-point shooter.
it's also just like an eye test thing. Like the threes you get off in college and the threes you get off in the NBA are totally different. Like the threes that he was getting off in college, especially on a team with two better guys around him, he was never getting off. He's never. And also the shot form was always weird, and then they tried to change it. It was a total horrendous evaluation of talent. It was just
No, and
awful.
It's a big miss, but I just hate where it's like I hate the revisionist history of like, oh, should have been Tatum. Like there's a lot of question marks with Jason Tatum too. It's not like Jason Tatum
should have been Tatum because you traded up for it. If
It's
you
easy
stayed
to-
at three,
The trade never happens if they know you're taking Tatum.
exactly.
But Mike, you're missing my point. Tatum wasn't a consensus one. Tatum had concerns coming out like a lot of prospects.
Right, but that's
do.
why you're supposed to be in that job to be like, all right, this is so clear and obvious. He's 6'9", can move, play defense.
Yeah, but
an
16 and
elite
7
shooter,
at Duke.
a lead off the dribble. Like that's why they're there. Like just because it's not a consensus doesn't mean like we have to make this franchise altering move and then you whiff. Like you have to own that. Like that is.
I just think when
a
the
whiff.
draft got close, and maybe because I'm a little older than you guys, I don't know. And Greg's gonna tell me I'm wrong, but I feel like when that draft got closer, it got more and more clear on what most guys put out. When most guys put out their draft boards, and when most guys put out who they thought was going one, there was a lot more Fultz than anybody else. And that's all I remember. There became a lot more Fultz than anybody else. Because who was the third guy? There was a third guy in that draft that was
Lonzo went two no matter what. He was going to the Lakers.
Yeah.
There was back and forth. There was back and forth between different guys and their boards. And that's all my point was from the beginning. I'm not telling you that Fultz was a no-brainer for me or any of that. I don't remember where my head was back then with it, right? I'm just saying that I remember where it like there wasn't a clear-cut guy, and then Lonzo made some noise maybe to go one, and then it was Tatum, and then other people had Fultz, and Fultz made this like late push, like in what I remember for a lot of guys having him one, and obviously it's fucking wrong, right? But like, it's just hard because Duke guys weren't trusted either. Like remember this too. It's easy to say now, but like back then, like a lot of Duke guys did not pan out in NBA history. When you go look at the amount of Duke guys compared to North Carolina guys, it was this big disparity in like, well, Duke has this great program, but their guys don't translate. Right, Greg? I mean, I felt like that was a Duke thing for years. I mean, Kyrie obviously, changes it, and Tatum changes it, and there's a lot of other guys now that have, but yeah, I don't know.
I just think the
he's
big problem
playing
with the
for
whole process
Washington going up against like Oregon State. Like it was just
I
never made any sense. It just never made any sense.
At Duke, like 16 and 7 at Duke is a lot different than 23 points at Washington. Like it's like,
and it's just like such a horrible decision. So many different ways. They traded up when you didn't even have to do that. You knew Lonzo was going to. Everyone knew that. Yeah. And then you clearly knew that Boston was not going to take Fultz.
As soon as your rival says, like, yes, please go ahead and move up, and we'll take a picture. You can draft.
Yeah,
that's an extra first round pick, by the way.
As soon as that trade happens,
extra first round pick.
Tell you everything you need to know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to get stuck on that one. I'm just saying that's the whole thing with the process is I think they really, and thank God they got Embiid out of it by doing it this way. I guess so. Hindsight's 2020, but he's always hurt anyway. But they went 3 straight centers. Like they just went for the best thing they could possibly get, not like building a team, not like fit.
Yeah.
Like what would have happened if Noel, Okafor, and Embiid were just all studs right away? Like what if they were just
you trade them for value?
What were the Pelicans? We're going to do DeMarcus.
They knew that was never going to happen anyway.
Well, and that's why I always and absolutely probably wrong, but I'll always die on the hill that you'd absolutely draft Okafor because you realize Noel wasn't the answer, right? He's too thin, too frail. You didn't know Embiid's injury history, what that was going to be, and when you drafted Okafor, he was still hurt.
Yeah.
So I'm still on that. You had to draft Okafor there just because you knew that you were trying to build from the inside out. You weren't going and trying to follow what the Warriors were doing. You were trying to bring basketball back to what it should be, and that's an inside-out game, and you needed a big for that. So I'm going to die on that Jaleel Hill for forever, right? But so I can't necessarily say that was a bad pick. It didn't work out, right? So in hindsight, it looks like a bad pick and a bad decision, right? But to me, I gotta go. You gotta make that pick almost every time.
Yeah, this conversation is pointless, and I'll tell you why. Because if Joel Embiid is what they expected Joel Embiid to be, and he's healthy and he's dominant, none of the rest of the picks matter. I'll be completely
100%, absolutely
clear as possible, right? You know, even if it's Ben, even if Ben hits, right? If Ben hits like they thought he would, right? None of the other picks matter. If Ben and Joe were who they think they were, other picks aren't going to matter.
Absolutely.
And that's what matters, right? So those two guys, which were your two best picks, you know, did not pan out per se in different ways. You know, one panned out skill wise, and the other, you know, didn't pan out at all.
It's just crazy to me that Embiid was drafted 11 years ago. Like time flew. Like that was over a decade. And we're starting all over. We're in the new process. It's just like we might not see a conference finals till 13 more years.
You got that 10% chance.
Ever?
Just saying. Let's cling on.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we talked about it. Remember the play-in tavern? I can't believe the play-in tavern's closed. Like the play-in tavern never even opened.
Play-in tavern never did open.
Yeah,
I'm glad it didn't.
Went out of business.
Talk about making another bad decision. Finally, actually, let's run it. Let's see where we end up today after the loss. Let's do it.
Yeah, no,
it's in the lottery.
I have one question.
We're screwed.
I think it's important about like this season, or not this season, but next season.
Spin so 2 got us the 5th pick. Spin 2 got us the 5th pick.
That's Trey Johnson territory. I like it.
You have Tyrese Maxey,
a kid from Illinois. You in on him?
That's more of like a project.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he could play next to Maxey.
Yeah, you have Maxey.
I'm like Ace. I like Harper a lot. Like that's like a question if he can play next to Maxey, but he's too good.
Those three are 1, 2, 3.
Right. You would have to. The fit is questionable, but he's way too talented. You'd have to.
I question both the Rutgers kids. Like the same way we're going to have to question what we just talked about with.
That's a coaching failure.
With Fultz on the way, right?
They had no talent around them, no big men to play with whatsoever. I mean, it was a joke.
Fair. I mean, I think, listen, I'll take a Harper all day. I'll take pedigree all day. That's an easy pick for me. If he's there and I'm there, right? He's there and I'm there. I'm a big pedigree cat. You know, I'm not talking about Monte Reger and Jalen Reger, right? There's levels of this shit. But, you know, Ron Harper, damn good NBA player and a champion, right? Ron Harper is a champion.
And it's always the younger brother, too.
So
what?
It's always the younger brother that's better.
Yeah.
This KZ comment, we got a homegrown super team in the draft led by Embiid. We did. We had Sharch, and then Covington went undrafted, and we signed him. And we turned Dario Sharch and Robert Covington into Jimmy Butler. And we just didn't hold on to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
Like because of Embiid and because of Sharch and because of Covington, you got Jimmy Butler here, and he came and went. Yeah. And then because of Ben Simmons, who you drafted through the draft, you traded him for James Harden, and he came and went. And those were two teams that legitimately had a chance to make a run. So, what happened was you just didn't keep them. But also, like, I had a
if they kept that one team together, though, if they kept that one team together somehow, that team could have won the whhole thing. If they could have
JJ was never going to come back, but I think if you're right, if there's 4 guys and they found a 5th guy to replace JJ, then yeah, that was their best chance.
So what do you think happens with McCain, Maxey, and Grimes? Because they all obviously can't play at the same time. I guess.
Grimes earns himself.
Well, you're going to add to that too, because I think unless you get the number 1 pick, if they keep it, it's looking like those 3 to 5 are probably guards. They're all guards.
See, this is what they do that pisses me the fuck off, because what are we doing with 4 guards?
These guards, you have to take these guards because
but that's
good
what
as
I'm
McCain
saying,
looked,
what happens?
As good as McCain looked, he's better. Like this
Quentin
person's
Grimes
ceiling
can-
is higher
Quentin
than
Grimes could take a walk.
He's 23.
no, but Quentin Grimes could still play.
Picks,
I'm just
picks,
making-
one,
making-
picks 1 through 8 in a mock are all guards. So if you
And he's
get
not
if you
making
get
more
your
than
pick,
14
it's a guard.
million a year.
No,
He's
no,
not
I'm
making
just
more than
saying.
14
Like, if he
million
breaks
a year.
the bank somewhere else, then he's gone. Like, is my point. Like, I'm not going to.
He's not
going
going to break the bank.
No, I'm just saying. If somebody was like,
Yeah.
oh, I really like this guy.
Right.
Right. I really like him, but I don't want to. He has a role here for sure. But there's
He's
nothing wrong with
14
having
million a
4
year.
guards. Why can't you have 4 guards?
You could play with 4 guards, but you're going to
I
have
guess
to.
2 of them are coming off the bench. Like, what do you
Yeah,
want to
so
do?
what? Minutes are
Yeah.
minutes. You're gonna get your minutes.
I don't know.
2 guards at all
This
times.
Is what they do. Like, it's just they're gonna get a guard. And we're gonna have 4 guards, and then what? One
I
of
mean,
them
you
gets
have
hurt,
to because
one of them gets washed.
They need talent. They just
you
need
trade
talent.
the other one. Whatever one
They
you
need
trade's gonna
talent.
go nuts. I'm watching Isaiah Joe fucking spray it tonight.
Yeah, he's playing with the best player in the league. So
He's playing with nobody. He played with
Well,
nobody.
that was
tonight.
a joke. That
Hartenstein
move was a
sat.
joke.
Shai Gilgeous Alexander
tonight
sat.
don't matter.
He's playing with
That was
nobody.
Doc Rivers. That
He's
was
spraying.
not Daryl Morey.
He's
I was
playing with he's playing against nobody too. But my point is that he plays with the best team in basketball. And I'm not saying he's not good and he doesn't have a role, but it's not like we let fucking Penny Hardaway go. You know what I mean? Like before he
Yeah,
hurt.
no, I know it's just Isaiah. I'm just saying this is what we do.
No, I know this is what we do though. We sound like Paul,
3 to
B-ball
5.
Paul.
Yeah, like 3 to 5. It's like, well, what's good? It's a guard
Loser.
draft. It's a guard spot, so we got to take a guard. Like no one has a gun to your head.
But
You don't got to do anything. How about you
No,
get a
they should've
center?
They should have just paid
Yeah,
Toby.
Yeah, but
How
there's
about
no
you get
one
the
there.
best?
So
There's
if you get
not
the
one
pick,
center.
They
there's
should have
not.
kept the bias.
If
That's
they
what
get
shoulda did.
6 in a world where they get 6,
The first center is
only
the kid
center
from
that
Duke
can-
at 10.
right? That's the only guy that like you could consider at 6. But at that point, I'd rather just get one of those guards that are ridiculous because they're.
I would have rather
so
just
good.
kept the bias than went on this whole PG run. That's
Yeah,
it.
I don't
would-
See, the
disagree.
thing with
I
the thing
mean,
with
at
the
this
bias
point, yeah.
that everyone had a problem with was just the money.
No, I mean, me and Greg talked about it on a million shows. Tobias was like our best player come playoff time, year in, year out.
Oh my god, I got you guys. You got to go to sleep.
Until
hell did
last
you
year,
just
you were right.
No, if you
Until
want to talk
last
about
year.
last year, it's a different conversation.
He was the
saying he was
best player
horrendous.
come playoff time.
He was the
He
most
was
consistent.
horrendous
He was
last
he was
year.
consistent. He played great defense. You know, the one year he freaking had a man up, bam, the whole game, and I thought he was awesome on him. So I'm not telling you he's our best scorer. I'm not telling you he was dropping 30. I'm not. That's not where we're going with this. But if
If
you
he
got,
was, he wouldn't have been
yeah,
traded.
if you
He
got a
wouldn't
little
have walked.
basketball IQ, his defense was really, really fucking good. All right, and I thought his
We didn't
defense was
watch
really
the same
good,
thing.
huh?
We didn't watch the same thing. People
No,
hunted
you
him.
just remember last year.
No, people hunted him. There's videos of
People
KD
hunt a lot of
laughing at
shit.
him. Like there's videos of KD begging for switches on him, getting a switch on him, drilling a 3, crossing him up. Tobias is no idea
So
where he's going. and pointing
arguably
at
the
him.
best scorer that we've seen.
is
period.
hunting him out. Yes,
Okay, yeah, okay.
He
Because
wants
they can hunt
him.
everything out. They can hunt the whole league out.
they could, but he's got 5 guys to choose from. He chose him.
Yeah, wouldn't I
So-
choose him over Joel?
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I'm
I'd
just
rather
asking you a
take center
question.
at the top of the key. Yeah, I would. I'd blow
Oh,
right
you would
by
take
him.
that center over the top of the key. Back then. Okay. You want to do this late at night, baby? You're going to take arguably the most athletic guy on the court, and that's who you want to see out on the perimeter then. Because he could do that, and he did it at an elite level back then. An elite level. He always has.
I
No,
think
no.
Tobias was okay,
Joel
but to
Embiid's
call
the
him the
first team all
best.
defensive guy. Joel Embiid's the first team all defensive guy if you get rid of that loser Rudy Gobert when Joel was in his heyday pre like
We're talking
getting hurt all the time.
2018.
And I'm talking
yes.
2018.
Okay, that's fine. Not the last 4 years.
Okay. We're
He
talking
couldn't even go. He couldn't even
2018.
rebound over Isaiah Hartenstein.
Isaiah Hartenstein 6'11", babe.
Okay,
7 foot almost, right? So I mean Tobias Harris is 6'9".
I'm not talking about Harris. I was talking about Joel.
Oh, we know about that. What are we talking about? I'm talking about his perimeter defense. You cannot act like he couldn't switch and play guards throughout his whole career and didn't do it at a high level.
No, he
could.
definitely can. Yes.
Yeah, so if I gotta-
all I'm saying
If
is
I'm
Harris-
barking out, hold on. You brought up the switch. So if I'm KD, who would I rather go against? Joel Embiid or get the switches to Tobias Harris?
I mean, there's 3 other dudes on the court.
There's only 2
That's
guys who do
guarding
switches.
KD?
Dave. There's only 2 guys who do switches.
Well, Joel's not starting on him.
How do we know? How do we know that video? He didn't come down and switch off. You're
Listen,
bringing
I
up
don't-
one video. I don't know. I'm
listen,
asking
all
you.
I'm saying is Tobias Harris blew because of his contract. If he didn't have the balloon contract, he was solid.
You
But
just-
because
you
of the
just-
contract,
But you
You
just
just made
gave
the
yourself, you just gave yourself a condition to why he blew.
Yeah.
It was all because of the contract, not necessarily his play.
Yeah, it's good
right?
play.
But his
Tobias
play
Harris
wasn't the
always was
best
good
thing
play.
ever, or we wouldn't be bitching about the contract. He wasn't the
Well,
most.
he was. That's the problem.
He was
That's the
for a
goddamn
lot
problem,
of our
Mike.
playoff
That's the
run.
goddamn
He
problem, Mike.
was.
You want to know why your second round exits? You want to know why your first round exits? Because Tobias Harris looked the best. Okay, that's the standard. Buckets. That was the standard. That's why we were any good. So nobody's sitting here crowning him. I'm telling you, he was better than the rest of the stuff around him. Okay.
I'm pretty sure he had 2 points off of 2 shots in Game 6 of the Knicks series. That was his last game of the 6.
Yeah, he was horrendous last year.
He was 0
There's
for
no
2
defending last
with
year.
2 points.
Besides last year,
Even before
was-
that, like, listen, he had one.
he
good
wasn't
game.
great, but he
He
was
had
consistent.
37.
You
he had
knew what you were getting
37
out of him
against the
every
Russell
night.
Westbrook Wizards. He had 37.
He was the only one who showed
the
up.
only game I
Elizabeth
remember him doing
King's stat
anything.
line every night in the playoffs until last year.
You're a low hanging fruiter, aren't you? You know what I mean? This
Wow.
is what you're doing. I call that low hanging.
I can't believe we're talking about Tobias Harris.
No, we weren't really. It was a quick little transition into saying I would have kept him over paying Paul George. That's all I was saying.
I wouldn't have paid either of them.
Okay, then I want to pay either of them either. I'm just telling you,
give
they
Harris,
weren't going to do that.
you could give Harris like a little 2-year, $30 million sprinkle. But what do you get? 50? Not getting him
Now
50
you
million.
got
2 years.
2 over 60, I think.
Yeah, hell no. For what? That's
60
how low. No, you want to talk about low hanging fruit? That's how low our expectations are. A guy that's not going to miss 30 games a year. Oh, I love him. Let's sign him up. Like that's the expectation. Just because he showed up, it's like, oh, great. Like he's a great
That's
player.
the league. That's the
Yeah.
league's expectation. I didn't pay him 2 years, 60. The league did. So
Oh, you're right.
again,
That is where the league is too.
the
People just
durability
don't play.
matters. Durability matters, and the guy gets his stat lines. You know, he averages what he averages. He's not a number one on any team. He's an off the ball guy, and you know, whatever. But I'm not crowning him. I'm just saying that I would have get 2 years 60 over going and getting Paul George. And if you disagree with that, then I can't help people's simple math. You know what I mean? I can't help simple math. That's all. That's not revisionist history. I would have did that from the jump. Because me and Greg, we talked about it. Luke, we talked about it. Like, you know, I wasn't against bringing him back on the right money. I wasn't maxing him again, right? You weren't giving a 4-year max deal. I know. It's like, hey, we gotta restructure this. And he would have been a lot more well received here, not getting paid that kind of money. If he was 2 years 60, he wouldn't get crushed like he did. You know what I mean? He just wouldn't have. But as a max guy, because it was always him and Jimmy. So it was like that we chose him over Jimmy. That's where all eyes are on you. Jimmy put those eyeballs on him nicely.
So
Jimmy
you think
nicely.
We're gonna
Jimmy
draft a guard?
nicely put that target on his back. You chose
So you
Tobias over me. And from then on, he wasn't going to live that down unless he
Nope.
dropped 40 a night.
Yeah.
See, my thing with Tobias Harris was I've seen him score 30. Like he can do it. I just couldn't stand the games where he'd have 2 shots or 3 shots.
Right,
like what the
that-
hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
I would
cardio
rather him
games,
go.
yeah.
No, yeah, I'd rather him go 2 for 15 and just be horrible. He never did that. Like he would be like 2 for 4. And you're like, Tobias, shot 50% tonight. Took 4
In the
shots.
first quarter, too. It'd be the first quarter, too.
What was that?
Like,
Yeah,
he
what
would
was the
come out
one
hot,
playoff
remember?
game? He
And
had
they're
his
like,
first 2 shots, and we're like, yeah.
And just disappears. Yeah, he would. I mean, listen, that's again, I'm not. I say I'd rather give him 2 years 60 than a guy who ain't going to play.
No, I
right?
agree. So you
So
think
that-
next year there's a possibility we draft a guard, have Grimes, have Maxey, have McCain. You think that's the plan next year?
Absolutely. I think that not only is that likely, but I think that if they get a pick from, unless it's Ace Bailey, if it's 2 to 6, I think that is extremely likely. Not only a possibility, I think it's extremely likely. Unless the player is Ace Bailey,
I'm the mindset
then that's a
just blow it
6'9"
up.
wing who makes a ton of sense.
Can't
Yeah.
blow it up.
I would just blow it up, dude. Like you
I
need
would blow up the
Embiid
rest.
gone.
I wouldn't blow up. There's no point to blow up Embiid. I'll blow up the rest.
The point is he's not playing. You need to just move on. Like I love the guy to death. Thanks for what he did, but like you got to move on. It's a broken
I don't want to do
record.
this tonight, but if you're asking me what I blow up, right? Because I'm getting younger, right? I look at this two ways. A week ago and next week can change, right? But I get in the moments where I'm like, you know what? I waited all this time for him, right? I might have if I have a top 5 pick, right? Hypothetically, I don't gotta go. I don't even gotta move on from him. I can see how it plays out. But the other guy I gotta get rid of. You know what I mean? That's where my head goes. Like PG, I gotta find the way out of. I'm not going to probably, but I gotta find the way out of. Yes. Joe, I don't have to do shit because I'm getting younger too. I got Maxey, I got McCain. I probably have another young guard, right? I'm young. I'm getting younger. So why not just get younger around him? And maybe one year you get your reward. We talk about Brandon Graham, like you get your reward 1 year. Maybe 1 year we get a reward. Do I expect that to happen? No. But you guys get where I'm going. I don't have to trade him next year. I mean, if I get the right deal, he should go, right? If the right deal comes across your lap, you got to trade him.
Yeah, but it's not going to.
That's why you shouldn't trade him. I'll even take a bad deal.
His value will not be less.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I thought Paul George. No, you got to do the right deal for Embiid.
Oh yeah,
I'll bad deal it. I'll make a bad deal to get rid of
I'll
George.
be your goddamn Uber driver. You know what I mean? I'll be your Uber driver. Like I'll pick you up.
You can't get rid of Embiid right now.
Yeah,
Paul George,
you
could. I think you should keep him, especially if you get younger, because his value will never be worse than it is right now.
Yeah.
And if he can go out there and play with those guys and say they're good enough to be a 5 seed or a 6 seed, and then after the next summer you say, okay, now it's time. That would make a ton of sense.
And you know what really bothers me too? There's an alternate universe out there in which
and then you see what you give it a year and you see if that has a future. And if not, you play it out and say, okay, we're a 5 or a 6 seed this year. He has much more value now than he did last year when he didn't play and with the 5th pick and the whatever.
Well, at that point,
there's an alternate universe. This is what pisses me off. This team on paper was the best roster Daryl Morey put together. Like this roster was the best thing he put around him. We all said it. On paper, this team was great. So what pisses me off is there's an alternate reality where he doesn't play all year and the plan actually worked and this team could actually win games. Like, could you imagine if we were still like the 6 seed, 5 seed? He barely played.
Yeah, but it wasn't just him who got hurt, though. It wasn't just him. Paul George got hurt. Lowry got hurt. Gordon got hurt.
I know, but I'm saying
they were all healthy.
If they could have kept it together, and actually won and like the plan worked and he just hopped into the playoffs playing 10 games this year, Embiid, that would have been like, we'll never see it. Like
that's never going to happen.
The problem is this team could have been really good. This team could have been really good if all the rest of the guys were healthy and Embiid wasn't. Like they'd still be a playoff team, right? Not a playing game either. Like if George was like healthy for which never happens, right?
McCain.
But if Maxey and Caleb and all those guys were healthy, this team would have been really good even without Embiid.
The lesson of this year is just that this team was never going to be healthy, and that's the reality of it. And we should have realized that when we kept signing 33-year-olds and higher, 35-year-olds and 38-year-olds and Lowry, and now he's a coach. And
where do you see when we just get the 7th pick and we don't even get the pick?
Waiting for that because that's happening.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't see it happening. I think we're definitely gonna get it.
Well, the NBA owes us. The NBA owes us.
It's also the alternate,
and we know how rigged they are.
The NBA. It's the best team in the NBA.
Yeah,
they just didn't announce it, right? They just didn't announce it, and that's why they were able to happen. That's the reality.
I don't know. I feel like if it's rigged, they would rig it our way this time. Only because
that's what I'm saying. They owe us. They owe us.
Well, it's not even that. So it's like, all right, you're going to give them another top 10 pick. They're already the best team in the league.
Just give me one. We don't need to make this hard. Just give me the one.
If it is rigged,
give me Coop.
Oh, it's definitely rigged. Come on, man.
All right, I'll go to Duke now. Here we go.
How many How many number 1 picks did Bron get? Come on.
Yeah, give
I
Joel
can already
number
see
one
it. We
pick.
get the number 1 pick, and then all the headlines like, "Oh, what do they do about Embiid?" It's the same year where Anthony Davis requested a trade, and they won the lottery
traded,
like
yeah.
2 weeks later, and then they traded him for Zion.
I mean, listen, if they traded Embiid on like if they got the number 1 pick and they draft Coop and then they say like, all right, we're going to trade Embiid.
Oh my God, we are so back.
I'm like,
It's like a whole new team. It's like a whole new team.
Like
yeah,
we're young, we're puppies. We have no expectations yet.
You're also talking about one of the best prospects out.
Yeah,
American
but we have no
prospects in the
expectations though. Year one, like it's just
Where's he
gonna
go to
be fun,
school,
right?
Luke?
It's fun,
right?
Yeah,
this is gonna be a fun year one because there's zero expectations and it's a bunch of young guys, and you're like, let's go. And you know, Nick Nurse teams, if they're young, they're gonna play hard, right? Like it's been his MO, right? And I feel like if I can get Nick Nurse young guys, they're going to play hard for him, right? They just do. They did in Toronto for years. Guys played hard for him. We just have
how I feel about that. I think firing him is a disgrace.
Me too. I think that's
what
completely
you think get rid of. I could care less if he walked or not.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying. I think it would be it just wouldn't be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I don't think it would be
fair. I wouldn't be sit up here being like, "What the hell are we doing?" But
yeah,
I
wouldn't be upset.
That's fair, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. Yeah, it seems a joke.
He's not the reason, right? Yeah.
No, he's not the reason. No.
Hasn't necessarily been part of the solution, but
no, definitely not.
Well, excuse me, but what the hell is the solution?
I agree.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. What is the solution? Yeah, 100%.
I don't know if everybody missed what the NBA is, but it's a players' league. I've said that for years. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you have dynasty coaches, but who are they coaching? We act like they're coaching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, coaching Mike and Kobe. Oh, Mike, Kobe, and Shaq. Oh, my God. That's hard.
I wonder why they're so good.
Freaking triangle offense. The triangle offense, everything. How the triangle work in New York, Phil? You know what I mean? Yeah. How the triangle work when you went to New York? It didn't work. It was a circle.
There are no triangles in New York.
Like I'm saying,
they're all squares.
It's player driven. You guys think Steve Kerr's that great of a coach? When a guy's hitting shots from half court, it's Splash Brothers. No. Goodness gracious! You think
I actually like Steve Kerr, but
no. What I'm trying to say is like, yeah, good basketball guy,
severely overrated.
But you know what I'm saying though, guys? Like players win.
100%. I'm with you.
Like you need a good coach, but like players win. Players take you to the next level. The coach isn't going to take you and win you championships with average players. You get where I'm going? Yeah. But an average coach can win numerous championships with greatness. You give an average coach greatness in the NBA? Oh, I don't. Give an average coach LeBron. You get Spoelstra, LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. You know, that's hard. That's tough. I'm a real genius. You know what I mean? I'm a real fucking genius.
He is a great coach, though.
No, he is. But like
I get what you're saying.
That it's not hard. Like he hasn't won a chip since because like you can do more with less, but you can't win a championship with less.
Yeah,
as a coach, this is not fair. It's an unfair ass. Like, what do you think the guy's going to sprinkle holy water, Miami holy water on you? Oh, no.
I mean, 8 seed to the finals.
Huh?
8 seed to the finals.
And who?
He went to the finals twice.
Yeah, and what who? Yeah.
I mean, yeah, your point is spot on. You're not wrong.
Caleb Martin.
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Caleb Martin, Jimmy Butler.
Jimmy's we talked about it. We didn't.
Kyle Lowry.
We didn't talk about. We didn't
Max
talk about. There was a heat culture that Jimmy helped create. Jimmy was the heat culture. It was toughness, right? Before he worked his way out of there, like he does places, right? But Jimmy created that heat culture of like toughness and a bunch of scrappy guys, because that's what they were, right?
Yep.
They were just scrappy. But he's a great coach. He's a great coach. You know, just like Phil Jackson's a great coach. I'm just saying the triangle don't work without talent.
Yeah.
You know, just like I think Nick's a really good coach. I mean, he had a championship the second he had a star. You know, he gets a star, wins. So that means you know what the fuck you're doing because you're able to not mess it up, right? Because there is the guys who get the stars and mess it up. So, it can go both ways. Whatever the hell I'm even talking about. I don't know. Oh, Nick Nurse. Yeah, that's not. Buckets just wants to move on from everything, and I get it. Like, I'm not ready for another total rebuild.
The tough thing about the NBA is matching contracts, but if you could somehow just because I don't even want back anything. I just want George and Embiid gone. Like I
you
need
can
a
do
restart.
that in the summer. You can do that.
Yeah, I want to restart.
You have
got
to
get
match
rid of George
salary
and Embiid.
during the season, or
Embiid's
if you're
doing
like
nothing but holding
over
you
the
back.
cap.
Doing absolutely nothing
the
but holding you back.
surgery. I need some information. Is he getting a surgery?
But
They don't
we've
have
all
any
turned into
information
doctors for 11 years. We've turned into doctors. Like it's too
but
many.
if you
injuries,
don't
Well, that's
have
why
any
you see him
surgeries.
going to
Mikey,
Germany. You see him
you
going to
don't-
Germany for the Kobe surgery, whatever that might be.
Mike,
Could
Like
happen.
why didn't he get surgery
don't-
4 months ago?
if you don't have the fucking information, we can't trade him anyway. Okay? So it's a mute fucking point. You're just going to be beating your head against the wall because if we don't know,
Yeah.
and they don't know, the other organizations don't know.
How do they not know though? Like what do you mean they don't know? What does that even mean? They don't
For
know.
the first time in my life, I've talked about modern medicine till I'm blue in the face. Okay? Modern medicine, Tommy, every year. Hey, modern medicine. Guy can play who's 40. And it happens all the time. But for some reason, in the Sixers organization, we've never had a clue. And it's not the same staff, medical staff. It's not. It's been changed over at least once, if not twice, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, it's an incompetence in the hiring department. All right. It's an incompetence in who they're hiring as their lead doctors. Because nobody ever has a goddamn clue. And we had guys that like forgot how to shoot. They were so medically impaired. Like it was weird
We almost killed one of our own prospects.
Yeah, we're killing guys.
Yeah.
Like we're saying like it was a nightmare going on here. So, I think you need to fire him again. But it starts with ownership, right? And I would fire Daryl Morey, and I would put Elton Brand back into that role. Because Elton
Could
Brand
be like a Howie move.
Yeah, because Elton Brand's
Bring
the
him
one
back.
who really orchestrated the best team we had. If you want to be fair, if people want to get technical, the best team we had was orchestrated by Elton Brand. It wasn't orchestrated by him.
I think it's very dependent.
That
on
guy
who-
also gave his
if you get
buddy
the
Al
draft
Horford a
pick.
max contract. He gave his best friend Al Horford.
I mean, yeah, that was a major. But yeah, that's where you could make the Howie comparison. Where coming back into it, he's a lot better, a lot different, sees things differently. You never know.
Yeah, because then he put together Jimmy and Tobias and that group, right?
Yeah.
But if you get that pick, I think if you're going to make that decision to bring a new guy in, I think revolves all around that pick. Because that pick can add years to your franchise completely.
Casey, I forgot about this too, in a way, but that was also like Ben and Jimmy. There was more to it than just paying Tobias, not Jimmy. You know what I mean? So it wasn't that simple, but it is a serious take because what has Daryl Morey fucking done? I'd rather have a guy that at least got us the furthest we ever got in the playoffs and give him another chance at it, sitting behind the scenes a little bit.
We're also not denying the fact that he had a really horrible first tenure either. Like, so did Howie, and he came out better.
You know what, KZ? You just, you got it all tonight, babe.
Not only I'm not even worried about him paying Tobias like that, which was still awful, but he paid it Al Horford. He played with him in Atlanta. It's his buddy, and he gave him his last two a contract, and that was a disgrace.
Yeah,
the max
but
contract
there was a
for an
reason
old
for
Al
that.
Horford. There's no
we were
reason.
trying to get past Boston, and we felt like we could take one of their pieces like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's pair an old center next to a center. It'll work out.
Yeah,
Like,
but
come
Al
on.
Horford changed his
What we
shot
doing?
when he was here. And I learned that from a guy inside the Sixers organization, actually. So I don't know what something to do with the Delaware water. I don't know. But he changed his shot too. Go back and look at his shot and look at his shot now, guys. Come back to me. Luke, go Google his shot in the Sixers and go Google his shot in Boston now and tell me the difference. Crazy, dude. This shit's crazy. Imagine it like this is us. Like the show, This Is Us, This Is Us. Like we have guys who can shoot the corner three at like 95% in Boston, 95% in the Garden, like he's Larry goddamn Bird, Al Horford, and came here and he's shooting like let it rain, make it rain. He's freaking throwing the ball off the backboard. Somebody explain it to me. How do you forget how to shoot when you come to Philly?
Yeah, like Simmons in the summer league was shooting. Simmons summer league highlights are unbelievable. When he first
Greatest
got
player
drafted,
of all time.
they forgot
Greatest
to shoot.
player of all time. In
Fultz didn't know how to shoot. Zaire Smith couldn't
I was
shoot.
way too excited.
Fucking, it goes on and on.
If you even watch that Heat series, Ben's rookie year, the first time we made the playoffs for that group, and Embiid missed those first two games, I thought we had Magic Johnson 1,000% on our team.
Yep.
He looked unbelievable in his rookie year.
Run. Yeah, that run. Remember the other run where Joel was hurt?
He didn't get paid yet.
It was like
And he won
175
16 straight.
mil.
They won
Yeah,
16
we were like
or something straight.
We were like
Yeah.
26-4 down the stretch. It was like
Yeah.
Bellinelli.
Beat LeBron.
Shooters.
Redick.
Yeah, it was all
Yeah,
the
that
shooters
game
around
was
Ben.
electric. That game
Yeah,
was
we beat
amazing.
LeBron for the 3 seed. We won 16
Ben
straight.
had like a 30-point triple-double.
Such a pussy. Such a pussy.
Crazy. Then we beat Miami in 5. Place was electric.
Yeah, it was that series when Embiid was out like the first 2 games. Ben just went off.
This is tough.
Yeah, well, because that was the only team he ever
He's a carrier. He's a carrier.
No, it was just like luck too, because he had Redick, Bellinelli, Ilyas. He just had guys that wanted to camp around the 3 and shoot it, and he literally just his only job was to just drive and kick out.
See,
like the whole team was built around that.
I'm not gonna do the slander tonight. You know what I mean? I'm good with a lot of shit. I really am, and we start to forget stuff. Like we start to see a guy. Now we better hold your mic, buckets. Better hold your mic for a minute. I think Pump has never been more off in his super chat life. Okay, because when I'm
last week was disgusting.
It was, but don't you dare. We see a guy show of himself this year. Can we not forget how great of an offensive player Joel Embiid is? So please do not bring his offense is detrimental to the rest of it. That's an outlandish take. That's not fair. I'm good with crushing a guy for not playing enough. I'm good for all the rest. But I am sure as hell not going to sit here at 12:30 on a Wednesday night and try to slander one of the best offensive players that I've ever seen. I'm not going to do it. From how big he is and everything he can do, that's some outlandish talk. That his offense is detrimental to the rest of the team. That's outlandish. Because this guy could do stuff that no big guy I've ever seen can do. Ever. And don't give me other guys could do what he did at his size. Please don't do it. Because he could back you down at his best days, and he could hit the 3 on you in his best days. So please, how's that detrimental to anything?
No, I think Pumper nailed it. I don't think it's Embiid's fault. I just think it's the way that the coaches have done it, where everything goes through Joel, where it's 20 seconds of just shot clock ticking and everybody standing around and ISO ball. And Joel's good enough to where he's going to score 35 and 40 points doing so. So why wouldn't you do it? But then everybody else doesn't get touches. And it's a game of hot potato when someone else does get a touch. That's just the reality.
Isn't that the modern NBA?
No, I mean, Jokic gets people involved.
I mean, that's modern basketball. You watch it every night.
Don't give me this guy. Didn't get people involved. Don't give me that, please.
Jokic is one of the best playmakers.
He's not.
The ball moves.
He's not Joker. So let's just
we get across half court. Everybody stops, and whoever has the ball just pump fakes 5 times so they can dump it into the post to Joel, and then everyone just.
So that's Joel's fault. That's not the coach's fault.
That's
Joel's fault.
That's what I started me saying with. It's not completely his fault. It's the way that we've coached him, or the way that we've.
That's not how every offensive possession through the Joel Embiid career has worked.
The only time it wasn't was with Butler and Harden. Besides that, it's been that way every single time. Harden was pick and roll, and Butler was sprayed around. You didn't know who was going. It could have been Redick, it could have been Butler, it could have been Harris.
Yeah, I don't want to ever say a big man who averages 5 assists a game throughout his career didn't get people involved. And
Tom, you would have 5 assists a game if you're getting triple teams. He didn't get people involved. That's not his fault. I just think it's the way we game plan. Like the way that besides the Harden and Butler year.
So the way we game plan is getting the ball in our best players' hands. Yeah, it makes sounds stupid. You know what I mean? Sounds dumb. You know, I can't wait to see how you coach on a Sunday, babe. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, was James? Hold on. You can miss me with that shit. Was James Harden the best player on the team? Was James Harden the best player on the team?
No,
when he was with us. No, it was Joel Embiid.
No.
Who had the ball in their hand? James Harden. So I'm just saying, you're asking a center to be your point. Okay, I'm with you.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I'm not saying it's Embiid's fault. I'm saying the way that we run his offense, where it's just everyone stand around, dump it into the post, and then waste 20 seconds to let him go to work, doesn't help anybody besides him. He gets his 40 points a game, and everybody else is standing still. And when they get the ball finally, 5 possessions later, it's
you're just remembering this year a lot more. And
I'm not. I'm telling you, besides the Harden year, I said besides the Harden year, which was 2 years, and besides Butler, like I haven't been to every fucking game. I was a complete.
Nobody's questioning nobody's questioning the fanhood. Ain't nobody sit here questioning Mikey Bucket's fanhood.
And I'm not saying it's Embiid's fault. The way that we run offense, nobody does it. Nobody does it the way we do it. The Phoenix Suns do it, and look what they do. Nothing.
I'm telling you that the
Phoenix Suns do it.
I know the play. I know what you're talking about, but that wasn't our entire offense. Like that's all I'm saying to you.
All right, who else was our offense? PJ Tucker, corner threes. Like, what
you're answering your own damn question, aren't you? Who's the best player? You want to get him the ball or not? So, like I asked you, I'm going to really be curious on your Sundays, and Greg's going to get it on. Well, I'm going to be curious on how you handle your whole staff now. Now my eyeballs are on you because if you don't want to get the ball in Greatness's hands, then I don't know what we're doing. Like, come on. I mean, he's a point-a-minute guy. Like, we're acting like they did something outlandish. Like, let's get the ball in Joel's hands. Don't do that.
I mean, he won an MVP.
You guys talking ISO ball. Oh, my God.
ISO ball, yeah. I mean, it really does. Like, it's the Phoenix Suns. It's what we did. We didn't have. All right, who's the best player on Golden State?
Are we doing this?
Tell me.
We're not.
Steph Curry. Draymond Green brings the ball up time and time again. I'm just telling you, the way we ran offense, it might be a coach's problem. I'm not saying it's Embiid's problem, but the way we ran through him, it did nothing. Everyone stood around. He got triple teamed because that's how good he is. And you had slap around him, and he would still shoot it over triple teams. That's how good he was.
We had the whole dribble handoff thing at the top of the key for like 3 years when JJ was here. So we could get him off.
JJ said it was the best player he's ever played with in his career.
So we could get him. So we could get off, JJ's shot.
Yeah, the DHOs were huge, and as soon as Simmons went too, the DHOs.
So now you're saying we did him, and you said the whole time that we never did it in his career.
Well, I'm saying
it was all ISO ball.
Simmons was here with Simmons was here with Redick.
We went 230. We went 235.
You guys just don't listen to anything I said. Simmons was here when Redick was here, and so was Butler. I said the Butler year and the Harden years were the only 2 or 3 years we didn't do that. Every other year has been dump the ball to Post and Joel, and everyone get out of the way.
We've
and
done
just
it with
stand
Harden,
around
we've
and watch.
done it with Maxey. We've done it with Harden. We've done it with Maxey. So it's like I'm saying it's not what you're saying is not totally factual.
Okay,
because we've done it. We've done the dribble handoff.
You guys can watch him till he's 40 years old, win absolutely nothing.
That's not the conversation.
That's the whole conversation. We got to get rid of him. That's all I said. That's what started.
I said you can't get rid of him without medical. So good luck getting rid of him. Then.
Apparently he has no medical because he's not getting surgery.
There's a medical issue. Maybe you're not listening to the whole conversation when it started. You can't trade him until we get some confirmation on what the hell's going on. That being said, there has been dribble handoffs. You've been to every game. You probably remember we dribble handoff ad nauseum through Doc Rivers. That's all we did. That was
James Harden. Like, you're not listening to what I'm saying.
No, you're not
James
listening.
Harden was here with
You're
Doc
saying
Rivers.
we just dumped in
Ben
the post
Simmons
all
was here with Doc Rivers.
You're just saying we dumped it in the post all the time. I'm saying, or we just played iso ball all the time. I'm saying that's not true.
Okay.
We didn't totally
I
demand
agree
our
with you.
whole
It's not
offense
true when Harden was here and when what's his face? Butler was
the
here.
whole time.
Okay.
Yeah, because we've done it with Maxey too. So we've done it the whole time. When have we just dumped it in the post? We bitch that he's not in the post enough.
Well, yeah, he
Well,
actually, yeah, he doesn't even post. When I say post, he posts up from like the free throw line.
Yeah, more recently than anything, right? As the knee, right? With the knee, right, guys? I would say you think I'm disagreeing with you. I'm just telling you it wasn't our whole goddamn offense, right? And there's been dribble handoffs going on for 7 years here. So that's all. That's where all I'm at. I thought there was too many dribble handoffs. I thought we didn't run a different offense, right, guys? So I know there's been vanilla shit going on, but that's the whole league's been dribble handoffs, right?
Yeah.
And he's one of the best screen guys in the game. So my question is, why would we not do that? Like,
Because
why
we
would
have
we
no
not?
other option. It's again, I don't think it's even his fault. You have slop around him at all times. So there's nothing. There's not one other center that just scores 40 a night and is supposed to just have the ball in his hands all the time, besides Jokic, who's known for his playmaking more than anything.
Dude, he's a unicorn. Like those, you know what I mean? That's a unicorn. Joel's a unicorn in a different way when he's like, if all things being equal and health isn't a problem, right? You know what I'm saying, guys? Like he's a unicorn in a different way.
I'm sick of watching the guy.
That's a different conversation. My whole thing started with Pumper slandering the offensive fucking game. All right? Can we circle back to where the whole thing started? It wasn't about keeping him or not keeping him. We said, like, dude, if we can't get something back, then like, what are we gonna do? Right? Might as well just take our chances and build and get younger around them, right? That's all it started. And then Pumper wanted to slander his offensive game when he's healthy, and I got zero time for that. That's all. I got zero time to slander a point a minute guy. There's a lot. You can slander a lot of shit around the league, but show me all the point a minute guys throughout their career. Show me them, because they're the greatest offensive players that ever played a game. So you want to slander shit? Slander the right information. That's all. I'll slander the lack of playing and the injuries all fucking day and not getting out of the second round. But I sure as hell ain't going to slander how good he is offensively. You know what I mean? Turn on goddamn highlight tape then, babe. And he'll probably get hurt at some point through it. but enjoy the moments. I mean,
whole lot of free throws, a whole lot of regular season.
We're not talking about now, Pump. We don't even know. Modern medicine. It's obviously a joke. I'm obviously kidding. I'm joking.
He played till he's 90.
Yeah, I mean, where's Casey?
3D printed knee.
Yeah, like why are you not getting surgery? If you're not getting surgery and you're not playing, what are you doing? What's the injury?
How do we Tyrese Maxey's working
Pump,
out?
I would have traded him then too, Pump. That's what everybody's missing. I was trading him. He's my son. He was my son for years. Greg knows it. Luke's listened. He's been on enough. Right? I was trading him after that game 6. We got to 7, but I would have traded him after 6. You know what I mean? I was good to go. Pull the trigger. They didn't. Not me. They didn't.
I think
The
last 3 off seasons when it ended, we were ready to trade him.
So please, like, guys, like, miss me with it. But when the guy was at his peak, he was sensational. That's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying I'm just saying the knees and everything else caught up over, and the injuries always played a part in his career. And it's sad to say that, because you take those things away, and that guy's the greatest Philly athlete we may have seen. If you just took away all the baggage of injuries, you know what I mean? Year after year of stupid shit, in a way too, right? It was something or another. It's just sad. It's just sad because that's the lottery ticket. That's a 250 million lottery ticket right there.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's shooting for in the draft, right? They're shooting for that franchise changer.
That generational talent.
So I keep saying the other picks matter, but if that pick didn't miss half the games of his career, like what's our reality is a little different. That's all. That's what sucks. It's a shame. I can't believe we did this. I can't believe we started going down this road tonight. This is unbelievable. Always because of buckets and Luke. It's a Luke and buckets. They started revving up the Sixers engine. They were all in too. 25 minutes ago, these two have been more excited for a game in 8 years than Houston versus the G League. You know what I mean?
And
this
Quentin
is where we're at.
Grimes.
We had guys playing with heart and guys actually playing. And if they were hurt, they
Tell
went
me
to a
you give a
doctor. They
shit.
got to figure it out. They didn't sit for 4 months and say, "Well, I don't know what it is." What the fuck are you doing then? You don't know what it is. You got the best doctors in America. You don't know what it is. You should have got surgery 5 months ago if you need surgery. You're sitting around doing nothing. Like, when are you getting the surgery? You're going to get it 2 months before next season starts, and now you're out next season? Like, he's jerking us off, Tom. Like, nobody cares. He's just jerking us off. He got his extension. He's doing nothing. He's just slow jerking with the cheese grater. Just cheese grating my dick off. That's all he's doing.
Probably the size of it, though. I mean,
he's going to run Maxey out of here. I've been saying it. I'm going to call it. We're going to give him a fucking bag, and he's going to be out of here. If we didn't give him it already, he's going to be out.
No, Maxey already signed. He ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, he's in for the next 5
I
years.
promise you, when he's here in the next 2 years, and we're winning 30
he's already
games
here.
a year,
He's past that.
he's out. He's past
Can't
what?
get
He's
out.
24 years old. He's going to be 26.
He's under
He's going to want to
contract
win.
for 4 years.
That doesn't. Contracts in the NBA mean nothing, Tom. I watch guys just not even show up to work, and they get traded to wherever the hell they want.
He's not one of those
Contracts
guys.
mean nothing.
He's not one of those guys.
Well, where's he at right now?
You were just wrong again tonight.
Okay.
It's a shame.
I'm just wrong about everything. Like, dude,
you said he won't sign here because of Embiid. You said he won't sign here because of Embiid. He just did.
Yeah.
So
no, I didn't say he won't sign. He won't stay here. He's gone. I'm saying he doesn't. You could sign him to whatever you
In
want.
4 years, he can be gone. That's fine. We'll be holding the next tank.
I'm just saying. Next year, when he's averaging 35 and he's
the next
LaMelo
Cooper
Ball,
Flag, we're there.
The Harpers have another kid in high school right now. Like
we'll be in for Boozer's kid.
He's not.
Next year.
He's not going to be
Don't
okay.
worry.
yeah, the Boozer twins.
Yeah,
they still go. They going to Duke, or they going to transfer to Miami?
Yeah, Duke. It's looking like Duke.
He's LaMelo Ball. That's what he'll be next year. He's going to be dropping 35 on a 12-win team. He's going to want to leave.
He's got Quentin Grimes
and TikTok dances.
And he's got the first pick of the draft.
Yeah, and he's got Cooper Flag.
We're going to talk that into existence.
Hell yeah. You best believe it.
Number 1 pick of the draft's coming into town too. Buckets, you know what the problem is and why we're upset?
Why?
It's because of what we've been through. It's not about me versus you. Right? Let's keep this in mind, Sixers fans, as we argue with each other. This ain't me versus you. This has been an inept organization from top to bottom. All right? Ineptitude. That's why they haven't won a championship.
They should every time you win a game, you should get fined for the end of the rest of the year.
Yep. And then they find ways to win games they shouldn't.
Yeah, and Maxey's now practicing.
Oh, my God.
Yep. Just fine everybody. You win a game, you get fined.
Yeah. Quentin Grimes the best. He puts up 46, and he always sells at the end of the game. He threw the ball to the other team last night at the end of the game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, Phillies next week. It's exciting, though.
Can't wait.
I mean, you're blue, babe. I mean, you smurfed up. You're ready to go. I can't wait. I mean, I could do without the 100-day games to start the year, too. Like
yeah,
it might be 5,000
that sucks for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I might have to get MLB
glorious
TV.
for us for our work from home peeps.
Yeah, still looking for that job. You know what I mean? One day we'll just be Greg. Just put your feet up.
Yeah. Take some naps during the day.
Yeah. It's a good life you're living.
It's a tough life.
Maybe a little pool. You got time. God.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely do that.
See how much time we got.
Definitely do that.
On that note, we're running out of time. So it's been HUD Wednesday nights. Unless anybody's got anything else.
No, we're good.
Bucket, you good?
Nah. But
Luke, you all right?
I'm all good.
All right.
I wish I could just sit out tomorrow and just get paid. Just fucking. Well, I went to the doctor. They don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but we'll reevaluate next year. I'll come back next year. Just give me my paycheck, and I'll see you guys next year.
Yeah,
We're still on this.
yeah. I'd love to be able to do that too. Love to be able to be like, man, my meniscus has been banged up for a while here because it has. You know what I mean? It has. Well,
Yeah, Eric Gordon, they say it's like an unseen wrist injury. They've never seen anything like it in the history of wrist
Can
injury.
you imagine me
They've
saying that
never
all my
seen-
lessons? Like, listen, you're gonna go to somebody else. The company's still gonna pay me for it though. But you guys
He
all
has an
understand.
unseen wrist injury. Kyle Lowry's got an unseen hip injury. He needs like a hip replacement if he wants to still walk or something.
Oh my God, Bumper wants everybody from the goddamn Caribbean. You know what I mean? He wants
Like, it's
everybody off a raft. You know what I mean? Nobody
Basketball
can.
players. It's like, well, I've played
Nobody-
a lot of basketball. Like, it's
Nobody can
banged
be
up.
born in
Bullshit.
virtually. You know what I mean? He wants guys right off the raft. You know what I mean? He wants the guy popping out as soon as the wave hits. This is what he wants. And I'm not against it either, Pump. You know what I mean? I'll be honest, sometimes I think we get a little too white.
Do need more.
You know what I mean? And I'm just being real. I mean, you need some Latin flair.
All right, I'm
All right.
peacing out. I can't even see.
Yeah, we're going away. You might as well wait and have some class. All right. Have a little goddamn respect. Could have went out 25 minutes ago. You wanted to. I don't even know what we were arguing about. I'm so tired. I was tired when we started. Can you imagine that?
I was thinking we'd do an hour show.
Yeah, I was out. I was done after Eagles.
Here we are, 3 hours in.
Yeah, I was done after Eagles. I think Eagles were an hour and a half. I think we might have just talked Sixers for
2
Oh my
hours.
God.
No shot. We talked Eagles for like 2 hours.
Pretty close to talking Sixers for a long time.
Yeah, that's
what we do, though. That's what we do.
That's
Yeah,
why,
it's a problem. We're a problem.
We are
at a high
100% a
level.
problem. We are an issue.
Yeah, we'll be accountable. The Sixers will not.
We are issues.
Oh my God, Pumper, you're worried about the Mets. I'm trying to get out of here. You're worried about the Mets. They can't.
Bring that smoke. Bring that smoke Sunday and next Wednesday.
I'm the ace of their staff.
I'll be your Huckleberry next week. I'm trying to get out of here. I got a long night ahead of me.
Clay Holmes.
What you got?
I got to rip some clips.
Oh my!
Got to do a little work.
Oh my! Oh, this guy.
Got to play a little MLB The Show.
Yeah, hey, this guy. He's got another guy. He's got the Lord's work to do. You know what I mean?
You know? Someone's got to pump out these clips. We got shows taking clips off.
You ain't worried about the clips. You're not.
Why? Because they take me the longest.
They do.
Because I have ADD.
You're more worried about. I know what you're worried about. I know what you're worried about, babe.
I got to fill out some brackets.
You were at the show. You got it.
And then we get to the show. Yes.
Yeah, I'd be a fly on Greg's ball and just falling asleep after hitting a homer on the show, just sleeping.
I have done that before.
I can see the control.
Maybe not hit a home run, but I've definitely fallen asleep, and I'm like, oh shit, the game's still on.
Wakes up, this guy didn't get drafted. Rob, I'm just being honest, Rob. I mean, why would we call it what it is? We got a lot of white guys on the Phillies. I mean, I got eyeballs. You know what I mean? I stayed at Holiday Inn Express a couple times. I got eyes. I'm not gonna say I'm an eye doctor, but I can see. And I can't see right now, so we're out of here.